6136-ish. I call that 38 to 36. That's good to me.
Nice person before I go. Sure. You're online?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah. Want to see this?
What's the addresses? Do you need confirmation of these so I can just...
No, just throw it in the mailbox.
That's the address, right?
Yeah.
Make sure. Okay. That's just 50.
That works.
Okay.
Cool.
Just want to make sure it's...
Absolutely.
Because you have an office in City.
Yeah,
so
you're
that's
good.
Thank you.
Okay, that's working good. Let's make sure this is working fine. Everything good? Everything good? Yes, cool. Throw this on. For my news, we are breaking up through key levels here, so I will be mindful of that. I'm gonna get rid of this. Actually, I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna adjust it. Okay. I'm gonna go with this for 3 days. 5 days works. Cool. All right. And we'll go to 5 minute candles so we can see that. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm on here 8:22 a.m. Central Time. If you're in on the YouTube, head over to Tradecaster, sign up for 7-day free trial. After that, I will be free over there on tradecaster.com. This morning, I kind of wish I could hide some of these drawings, but I'm leaving them up because I do like having them here. Where is the overnight session? Pretty much exactly the same as yesterday, except we did kind of clear up that same overnight level. I may just leave that there, even though the overnight is this yellow. Basically, the overnight low is this yellow zone here at 17,910. I'm gonna leave that there, and I'm gonna keep this red line from 2 nights ago because during yesterday's session we never ended up cleaning that up during the session. Obviously, you could see we sold off post market and then into that overnight level once again last night, and we hit it twice, 3 times, and rejected it. And now we're at the highs, and then you can see this level here that we're at currently. We're at it once, twice, 3 times. Each time we sold off, right? We sold off here, we sold off from it here deeper, and we sold off from here deeper, right? Morning, everybody in Utah on the trader mastermind that Deck's holding on over there. Should be a fantastic week for you guys. I'm gonna give you a cleaner chart, but really you could see yesterday, once we got up into that zone, we broke above, failed to break out. I was talking about it early on in the day. Well, that was this one over here, but for this sell, this was actually after the stream, after JPOW stopped talking, then you started to get that volatility. Today, I kind of anticipate very similar price action to, as far as the, let's call it the post-Powell speech. I'll throw his speech up again today at 9. We'll sit here. We'll try and be patient. We'll see if market's going to move with it or if it's just going to be stagnant like it was yesterday. Pretty much the entire time he spoke, we didn't get very much of anywhere, right? So pre him speaking, this was up until 9 o'clock right here. This is 9 o'clock, 9:05. You got the big sell-off into when he started talking. He started talking, you ground higher. There was not, I mean, if you took this entry, fantastic on you. We were talking about it down here during the day. As you started to grind higher and higher and higher, I mean, JPOW continued to talk. Then you got into an hour into him speaking, and then they said during this time that they're only going to go to 1 o'clock. So an hour into him speaking, this price just flattened completely out right at the opening range low. We sat below it all the whole time. Then finally, closer to the speech coming to a conclusion, we continue to kind of grind higher. This price action didn't happen very quickly. It was very kind of just back and forth, especially if you go down to a 1 minute. We just didn't get any setups on it, right? That was the big thing. Yes, it went up, and yes, if you caught this low here when we were talking about this, you did have really no reason to kind of get yourself out of it while he was speaking, right? This trend line held. It broke here, and you could have maybe capitalized on that short just based on the break of this trend line crack from him speaking, right? But you didn't get any follow through on it. Once you didn't get that follow through, you came back up into this trend line here, created like a little inverse head and shoulders type thing on the 1 minute, cracked that structure pretty, without much issue. And then we were talking about high of day break. I mentioned that once we got to here, high of day break, you could have taken it to 44, 45, or up into 62, right? 62 was the level I was talking about yesterday. So we broke above that high of day break, consolidated, broke above it. Anybody who capitalized on that right to 62 made some money. Then I was post stream, I kind of came on and I took a couple shots. I ended up making a pretty good long on a break above this from here to here, which I ended up posting on Instagram. I posted that up on Instagram. I took a crack of this. It was down here. I took a break retest, breakout. I took one entry here, ended up getting stopped up there. Then I took a re-entry on a break above and took it up to the highs. Then I was making the video. While I was making the video, this dump came in, and I should have seen it coming. You got that big, lower high, and then you got another delta divergence, like a little mini delta divergence here. Once that started to happen, the crack of that 44 gave you that selling. I ended up catching it down here on the breakdown, and then ended up catching a pretty nice little chunk of it. So I ended up making a nice little move at the end of the day there. So pretty nice. What I'm watching for today is that level, that same zone, right? Where we're at here, we're at right now. So we're going to be mindful of this little downtrend. I don't know if it's going to crack right away and flush, but anything that flushes this 44.75, that 45 level, could induce some selling like this, right? Right there we got it. And we got it, like I said, over here. We got it right here. And then if you go back even further, which we can't see, I'll just go back to this. And then we're going to show you on TradingView over here. You can see sold off there once, sold off there yesterday, and I think even prior, like I said, over here on Friday, you wicked it, came back to it, touched it, and right as you touched it, you flushed off. So that real, like that level that I have drawn up on TradingView is that 181.45. So 18,145 and 3/4 level that has been really acting as that support. So I am going to be mindful of that level. If it does hold and break, then you do have upside potential. Microsoft seems like it wants to gap up this morning above that 406.18. If it gaps up and opens there at 406.18, watch to see if this will kind of run to the upside. And then if Microsoft runs to the upside, we're going to look NVIDIA 900, which it hit off on the pre-market, and we're sitting above it right now, which is, obviously anticipated that it was going to hit 900 at some point. We thought it was going to hit it yesterday. We didn't hit it yesterday. I'm going to put that right there, 950 cents. And we are now open. So let's see what happens with the markets here. Kind of watch NVIDIA probably dump down a little bit below 9, and then if it recovers 9, then we'll see where we end up. Microsoft failing that 406.18 level. See if we can catch an opportunity early. I want to see like a delta divergence set up. If we can get that delta divergence, which we kind of got already, right? We made new highs, didn't make new highs on delta. Could kind of just jump on this early, but I really want to be cautious. I want to stand off on it because these names, these Mag 7 names are gapping upside, right? That Microsoft gapped up to 406.18, NVIDIA gapped over 900. So that's a real psychological level where a gap and go could continue on. Apple is selling off nice and hard right now. Flushed yesterday's low. So different than the other day, right? Well, we got that open and sold, but I'm talking about the other names, I should say. Apple gapped up a little bit and then immediately sold off, closed the gap, and now is trying to push back upside. Nvidia gapped 900 and now is failing 900 without any issues. Microsoft also rotating downside, but pushing to the lows here. So I'm going to be watching this level here. Maybe take a quick first opening range short, leaving the stop at the high. But I want to give it time to kind of give it a little settle. Give it a slight settle. I know that this is, it seems like an easy, quick short, but I don't trust it yet. We are still holding above that level. And the S&Ps are also holding above 51.38 and 3/4. You can see over here 51.38 and 3/4. If the S&P decides to crack this and start to rotate down, then you will get the NASDAQ to probably follow along, right? We want to get this kind of price action here as well, but you could see down here a nice little higher low, and then now we're breaking that high. So we made higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. If it does dump, we got to see if there's a higher high. But we're going to watch our zone here just to make sure that we're going to get a good feel. But you can see Delta's now acting strong, prices pushing up, holding that opening range low. I'm not really ready to play a breakout to the upside yet. And then when Jerome Powell starts talking at 9, I didn't look at the numbers. Give me a second. The numbers on Trading Economics calendar. This morning we did get balance of trade at 7:30, which was negative 67.4 billion. As forecast was negative 64.5. Previous was 64.2. So we're right around that same range in the balance of trade. Exports and imports, pretty much in line. 324, 323, 257, 258. Yeah, so pretty much all in line. Initial jobless claims 217 as opposed to 217 expected. So it was in line and the same as last month. So we're just getting nothing but like in line numbers. So nothing that I can say moves it in either direction. And then we have JPOW starting his House of Representatives testimony come 9. But all I anticipate out of that is much of the same talk that we had yesterday. Same deal. Yesterday he had just kept reiterating all the same talking head points that he always does, and now we're just going to wait and see kind of where this goes. All right. Let's go. Let's get something. Let's get involved. Oh, espresso time? Espresso time. I kind of want to see this thing start to roll over. Really depends. Microsoft is continuing the push to the downside. Has room to the close for a possible bounce. Actually, we're at a possible bounce point right now. I'm watching NVIDIA. Whatever NVIDIA does at 900 is kind of where this market's going to want to go, because if it rips and holds above 900, then this market's going to want to go. And I don't want to be stuck in a short if NVIDIA is going to take the top off the market. I see that it's kind of pushing down, but you're not making new lows in your delta. You're starting to tick up in buyers here. So I'm not convinced yet that the short's in. I will probably wait to see if it confirms below 144.75 or even into this trend line. I might be able to front run 44.75 by the breakdown of this big candle. If it does break, there's a good chance right now that hold of that opening range low breaks us through the high. And if NVIDIA continues to hold over 900, then this will probably continue to go. Because I believe yesterday NVIDIA passed Apple in market cap. So now it's definitely the most important name to watch right now, because obviously Microsoft and NVIDIA are going to act kind of in tandem somewhat. So Microsoft did catch that bounce a little bit off the bottom that I was mentioning here yesterday. I'm going to get rid of this. All right. I think NVIDIA hits 1,000 pretty quickly. Just trying to mark out some spots on Microsoft that I like. That's probably a good spot. And then obviously I think that's the close. So Microsoft could bounce here. NVIDIA, like I said, if NVIDIA holds 900, you see what the market does, right? They act in tandem. You're going to look for some confluences, look for things to work together to give you a little bit of a better idea. If anything, this held me out of the short. NVIDIA being so strong kept me out of this short, so it saved me from taking heat on a loss. Right, I was mentioning if it does break down and hold below 9, we could get that flush, but we didn't, and now we're getting the rally. Right, we took the top off the market, so looks like we're going to probably have a continuation day today if this holds and continues to rally. But like I said, it's all really dependent on what NVIDIA does. It's right at pre-market highs right now, 906 basically. So if it breaks the high there, then we'll see. I'm going to move this around a little bit so I can see this on both screens. I'm going to go Apple. Apple bounced off of that level from yesterday. The 168.98. There we go. You can see it here. Apple's kind of just stuck in this range. You can see yesterday how much it chopped around. Bounce. Went to the high, went to the low. Closed basically. I mean, obviously we had that initial open dump and then stayed stuck in the range. Seems like today, right now, initial dump, still in that range. So we're going to have to watch to see if it does break out and hold. NVIDIA just cracked the high of the pre-market levels. So gap and go, a likely scenario for the day if you're playing the equities. If you have the capital to trade any sort of NVIDIA, you do have a gap and go. The close was down here. We gapped up above that key level of 900. Usually if you gap over a key level, you do get some continuation on it. It's a main structure point. It could act as resistance and then run. Maybe it'll get filled at some point, but I don't believe it'll get filled today. It's probably going to be a gap and go kind of day. That's just obviously early on. Maybe until JPOW starts talking. Once JPOW starts talking, then you may start to get that that flattening out of price action, or if he says something stupid, which I doubt, he's very calculated, you'll get that sell-off. But I don't think you're going to get much of anything from there. Just like I said, if you do hold above this, and if NVIDIA does what we saw it do, right, break above 900, it broke down, right? It broke down from 900, gave you a couple really good wicks below, and then once it broke back above 9, you're out and off to the races. And that's what this market's doing right here. Espresso time. That was a good. You could have caught that if you were playing the opposite of the hold. If you were to play the NVIDIA bounce. I'm not looking to hop in and try and chase along either. I do think, like I said, up until 9 o'clock, you may get some decent price action. Just kind of like yesterday. I still do feel that yesterday's level, that 185 is right dead center of the opening range. That was the high point for a breakout. You can see it over here. I'm going to move over to the 30-minute so you can see it. The 30-minute chart here is showing you what I was looking at, right? We had this big run up. That's to that all-time high, right? You can see there's nothing to the left of it. So we had the big run up. The first breakout point was that 162.75 level, right? That's where we broke out to run and rally this. We faded out. We petered out. We rolled. We kind of gave some resistance here through this zone, right, where the first breakout was and into there. And then once we came now to where we're at today, right, we get rid of that side. If you just watch these levels, this was that bounce point and then the flush right here at 185.25, right? Bounce point, we bounced, we flushed it, we rejected it twice, rolled over, rejected it a third time, rolled over. If we can fail 185 here, start to accept below it, right? You start here, you accept below, and you start to hold maybe this low that we just created from that NVIDIA bounce, then you can possibly get that rotation down into at least 162.75, and then you want to watch that 145. So 162.75, obviously you can see base of this, and then 145 is that bottom end breakout. So if you get a failed breakout rally, rotate down, break the opening range low, there's a good chance that the selling just continues to come in and come in and come in, just based on our price action from yesterday, where we got above there once, twice, 3 times, and then sold off. Over here, same deal, got above it, sold off if we came back below it. So we're going to watch it, and we're going to see if we get a huge wick here. It's still higher high, but you still have an opportunity to rotate to the new lower high. We're going to get rid of this trend. It doesn't really matter. We're going to add this one here. You can see a higher low. Higher. We got the low here, the flush, a higher low. You had a breakout point here at 987, basically up to 18,000. You hit 18,000, crack it, rip to the high side, maybe look to rotate back down into that 18,000 level, which would be pretty confluent with this trend line. And then you watch a bounce maybe at 18,000 or a flush. So that's what we're watching. We're seeing price get to that 185 level now. It's maybe give it that 15 minutes to close just to see what NVIDIA does, because that is really the driver of this market, and I don't, see anything different until it tells me otherwise. I don't want to fight the strength in this name, and I don't want to fight. If I start to see this roll really hard, I'm going to want to play that short on the failed breakout. But if this is going to continue on, like I said, gap and go over that 900, this is going to keep rallying. I just don't have, for myself personally at the moment, a good entry to see a long setup. My risk to reward is probably going to be maximized on the downside if I can get to the levels where I think it's going to actually crack, break, hold, right? And then I can get a good feel for what's actually going on. If you're over on YouTube, hit that link in the chat or in the bio. Go over to tradecaster.com. We get the viewership up to 50 at any day. We did a giveaway earlier this week, Tuesday. We gave away a free month of TradeCaster to one of our viewers that's always here, Trade Master. So shout out to him. And then we are going to look to continue to do giveaways every milestone. So I'm going to go, I did 25. I'm going to do a giveaway at 50. And then if we continuously hit, if we can get to 100, I'll do a much bigger giveaway. And then the days that we hit and hold, if we can get, if we can hold that 100 number, I'm going to start to give away things on a much more frequent basis and a much bigger values every time. So, it'll bounce around value to value, but for the most part, we're looking to do as much for the community as possible, right? I just want to be a cog in the machine. I want to be able to allow you to make your own decisions, get yourself into a position where you can trade, but you want to have some company. We can do some trader meetups in the Houston area or wherever, depending on how big we get. Deck's in Utah right now. He just posted that picture of them at the cart spot. Obviously, looks like he won the race, of course. Guy's a monster and everything. So, looks like YB's over in Utah too. So, let's see what's going on the rest of the day. And as we grow our stream, we're going to look to see if we can get some of those mastermind type deals out as well. When it comes to trading the futures, you have to understand it is a futures contract. So as much as a lot of these other names are pricing in things for their future, of companies and businesses, it is acting a lot on people buying and selling. The futures contract is trying to price in stuff that's going to happen later on. And kind of be able to capitalize on it prior to it happening. So we are starting to get that good breakdown. If we could break through that 62 level, that was that level yesterday that I was really interested in, right? Come on. 62 is right where we're at right now. So you can see the line kind of, it's very, very dull, but we're kind of dancing around with this zone right here. So I want to see this volume node kind of not hold up, maybe give it a breakdown, give it a wick, maybe, and then hold, and then we'll look to see if we can take that short, right? We got that crack. Do I want to take it right this second? Not sure yet. I want to see if this candle will close below here. If the candle will close below here, then we'll start to look to see if we can catch a short. A breakdown of 44 does add to that, but NVIDIA is still holding above here. Apple is making lows. Microsoft pushing down on lows as well to yesterday's close. So that's the only thing that is concerning. This is a great sell-off from that high. I did mention if you wanted to short through that 62 area right down below here, I said if you flushed, really what I said is if you flush 85 and you get below this opening range low, then you have at least down to 62, which we just crushed, and into 44, which you also hit without issue. So you would be sitting in decent profit already if you would have just take the short without some confirmation. But there's one name that's really lingering, but now NVIDIA is looking to get rid of that 900 level. I'm going to watch 900. If it flushes, then we're going to get in. If NVIDIA can hold 9, and if it bounces, you're going to get that bounce, that retest up into this area here. So if NVIDIA can get back above 900 and hold up here at 150, we can get the price to get back up to 155. The next breakdown of 144 will convince me that we're looking to short. You can see the 30-minute here. You got a little bit of a support coming in right now, right where we're at. So there's that bounce. Now if we can get NVIDIA to, you can see it's trying to hold. You got a higher high. Trying to hold 900 could be a liquidity grab to try and catch some more shorts involved and then rip it to the high side. If we get up into, say, the open, just above the open up here at 903.20 something, and then you fail 900 again, the NQ probably will fail as well. But you can, like I say, you can see Microsoft got to its close from yesterday and bounced off that level. NVIDIA got to 900, bounced off 900. That's a great location to see the bounce happen, and that's why I wasn't convinced on taking the short. Yes, I could have made some money if I took that first initial break and trailed tight, but you're looking to see what kind of convincing move you're going to get, and this is where we're going to make that decision. Whether this is going to be a true breakdown or if it's going to be just another manipulation to rip us high side. But I think if we can get back into that zone, right into that 62 to 65, and NVIDIA tries to fail one more time, then you get the breakdown of 44, then that's more convincing to me to break it down. Sorry, I was on the wrong screen, I believe. Yeah, so like I said, up into that 62 to 64, but if we can get NVIDIA to break down, then we're going to get it. This is why you have to kind of be cognizant of these big, heavy weighted names in the in the indices, right? Nasdaq is only 100 of the top names, tech heavy weighted, and of those 100, it's weighted most heavily of 30-something% on 7 names, right? The Magnificent Seven. So those are the names that will move the market. And right now, NVIDIA is basically, NVIDIA and Microsoft are the 2 highest weighted. Apple obviously is in there as well. Apple was the highest. It's kind of been dumping down, and since NVIDIA popped up, I believe it took over market cap from Apple. So I think it's Microsoft, NVIDIA, Apple as far as the weights are concerned. Oh. Okay, there you go. Now you're starting to get a little bit of push. If you can get this to crack below, then you're going to get that move. But I don't trust it yet. And if I don't enter something before JPOW starts talking, then there's a good chance that we may not have any trades until he's done, which means probably the entire stream I might not take anything. So I'm just going to be cautious. I don't want to be the one that gets run over on something that's just like high side. But you could see here, big melt on the delta, big melt on price. Price is trying to tick back up into these zones. Obviously, it is making higher highs from the previous area of this breakout, so we're also cautious on that. But at the same time, if it tries, it has to get back close to there. If it doesn't get anywhere near there in the delta while it's creeping up into that, maybe 180 zone, then potentially you could see this thing break the highs without issue. But we're watching this. Watch the delta, watch NVIDIA. NVIDIA just cracked that overnight high again. That pre-market high. So you may have this be that liquidity grab rally to the high side. A break of 18,185 convinces you on a breakout, and the hold down below 44.50 for me will be that short. I want to get myself into a really tight stop where I'm risking really basically nothing, or price just moves so fast in my direction it never comes to my stop. But if this big push down gets recovered all the way, anticipate this thing going all the way to highs. $217, 200, yeah. There it goes, over 906. 906 was that pre-market high. So we are still rallying. We're accepting back into the opening range. If opening range fails, remember yesterday opening range failed, day before opening range failed. So we did get movements off that. But if you get above here, then you could anticipate this thing wanting to kind of just continue to push high side. And I don't want to not get involved, but I also don't want to, see NVIDIA just wedge out here and we don't get anything out of it. Right, you would think a failure again of this zone. This is a zone, right? If this fails one more time, then you could think a short would probably play nicely, right? Unlock this. Let me just see is there a drawing tool where I can draw? You can draw rectangles. So you think a short here through this zone, right? I'm going to give it to there. A short below there should be able to net you, if you wanted this to be a convincing short, you break through it, you come back into this zone and you fail it right away. This just burnt right through there because of this name right here. The burn through shows that there's not necessarily many sellers just sitting right here waiting to, just hammer in a sell once it gets back there. So if we do come back down into it, it could act as support and rally, or it may never come back to it, right? Like I said, I think if NVIDIA can just give you a little tiny bit of a breakout of this high, you're getting Microsoft to bounce off lows. What is Apple doing? Apple also bounced off lows, flushed that 168, and now is rotating back up. Like I said, I think Apple may just kind of stay range bound. But Microsoft and NVIDIA both looking to push high side. Microsoft, when I said that 402, that close, we hit it to a penny. 402.24, I hit that off on. I drew that level up right in front of you. You saw it. Maybe I'll get back to equities at some point, and I'll start streaming that as well. But my levels on these Mag 7 names have been pretty darn effective. Not going to lie to you. Not going to lie to you at all. I think my large cap Mag 7 analysis is over the last few weeks. If you go back and read my write-ups, you can click the link. I do break down a lot of these names and show you some of the levels that I'm looking at in order to kind of just get myself set and ready for the NASDAQ trades of the day. We do have the rule in place where I can't execute a trade within 5 minutes of an hourly close. So we are basically right there right now. We have 30 seconds and I don't have a trade set up. So I'm not going to execute anything until after 10 o'clock or after 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock Eastern. So if anybody has any ideas, trades, comments, concerns, throw them in the chat. I'll try and kind of break something down for you if I can while I'm forcing myself to not take a trade here. I'm going to be mindful of that zone that I drew up and the levels that I mentioned to you. I am not here to just go long just because I do believe that it's not my short. My normal strategy, as I mentioned on a daily basis, is trying to fade extremes, look for divergences within the delta price, even the within the other equities between the S&Ps and the NASDAQ. I used to, and I may get back to it, I used to have all four indices up. I had the Russell, the Dow, S&P, and the NASDAQ, and whichever one was acting differently was going to play as the divergence play and trade that move. But I just have developed a pretty good relationship with the NASDAQ, and I kind of understand the behaviors of what happens at certain levels. So I kind of am able to mitigate my risk a bit more on a lower time frame, and there's a big reward when you're right on the NASDAQ for sure. It is the sexier product. I'm going to start researching oil a little bit. So I may look to go and trade a little bit of oils. So if you're interested in oil futures, or if there's anybody that, as this stream develops, if there's anything that other people like to trade and they want to see it analyzed, they want to see levels get drawn, they want to see more information about those and what kind of what information drives those, the fundamental analysis aspect of it. I'm more than happy to go into those names, break them down. It kind of keeps me from FOMO trading in just the NASDAQ as well, so I don't mind it. You do have the S&P breakout that happened. We do have resistance. I'll go over to the S&P 30. You have resistance overhead right where we're at right now, and then you have the all-time high up there at 51.57 and 3/4. So I do think if this continues to stay strong, if Nvidia doesn't just falter out and kind of just stay range bound, I think it hits 1,000 at some point soon, which is crazy to me. That's a big move. Maybe not today, but I do think a gap, like I said, a gap and go over 900. It seems like it was the play. There was already $8 of profit in that for you. S&P's ran into resistance at 48.50 right there. You can see that was a breakout point. 3 minutes till JPOW probably starts to get introduced into the House of Representatives today. I am watching Nvidia to see if it's going to fail this high and rotate back down to 9. There's a chance that this just stays a range-bound day until JPOW stops talking. But like we said, he's probably going to say much of what he said, the same things of yesterday. He'll say the same things today to the House because it's just the same. It's just different people at different... it's different people, but he's telling the same story. So, kind of just watch all these. I'm going to hide this bar. You're seeing Nvidia trying to fail that overnight high or that pre-market high. If it does fail that, you do see this lower high here coming into play. Right there. Expect maybe a little bit of wedging to happen. And then either a pop in either direction depending on what these names decide to do. One more minute. Then we can maybe execute something if we do get back down through our range there. I could get convinced maybe more or so on something breaking down if it does go now after 10 o'clock, after JPOW starts talking, where it kind of, yesterday I mentioned it kind of got to that low and then it just ground higher and higher and higher and higher during his speech, right? No, he didn't say anything that was going to induce a dump, but I feel like he was ready. I mean, the market was getting ready to, at any moment, if he was ready to say something stupid, it would just hit the sell program and dump it down. So that sell program probably was just waiting in the winds for that one word to pop, and it never came. So the kind of market just slowly ground higher, and everything he said that was congruent just kind of kept the market in its upward trajectory. All right, so it's 9 o'clock now. We can enter something if we feel like we have an entry. Right now we have the beginning stages of JPOW probably stepping up into the... Let me see if I can find a stream of it. Jerome Powell. Live today. We had CNBC up yesterday. Let's do Fox Business today. I'll pop it in there. You'll just notice that he just most likely says a lot of the same thing he said yesterday. I'm going to try and listen to what they have to say and see if their questions become any harder or not, or if he has anything that he wants to induce market making activity at the very end. If he just says, oh yeah, tomorrow we're cutting rates to zero, you watch this market absolutely rake. But obviously that's not going to happen, so we're just going to sit here and be patient, let the market kind of digest. You could see it really has initial, as soon as 9 o'clock happened, right, we're at 9 o'clock here, price just kind of sits in this little tight little range. So you could possibly see a breakdown of that. Rotate back into here and then catch a long from there. Yesterday we did a really, really good job of being patient, not forcing any hands, especially while he was talking. I don't want to be, like I said, I don't want to do anything that's detrimental to my account.
That inflation and an unsustainable cost of living continue to impact their families. For far too many.
If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns on what is actually happening right now, just let me know. Throw it in the chat in Tradecaster. If you're on YouTube, head over to Tradecaster. If you don't have a membership, try that 7-day free trial. You'll have full access while you have that free trial to everybody, all the paid rooms, all that. After your 7-day trial expires, you'll have access to my room. It's free for the time being. Alrighty. Let's see what Jerome has to say once he does start saying. Mr. Scott is giving you some introductory comments.
She also noted that many prices are not going down. In fact, she said, and I quote, "We don't have to get these prices down."
Oh, God, I love espresso.
To the mechanic working in South Carolina.
If you are a coffee drinker and you need some fuel for your trading journey, head over to daytradingcoffeeco.com. Use my code PolicingPips on checkout and you'll get 15% off. It is my company, so I have the ability to give you that discount code whenever I feel. We are going to do giveaways at certain milestones. If I see somebody coming in here participating a lot, getting involved in the conversation, I may even start to just reward people just getting involved and asking good questions and stuff, and trying to stimulate this community a little bit, right? We have a few people that I mentioned that were in here and they've been here since day one, and I'm really, really appreciative of that. It's just me and them in here, and then we slowly grow here and there, one person at a time. My initial goal to do that giveaway was 25. We hit that on Tuesday. Unfortunately, Instagram was down, so maybe I didn't get the full added benefit of Instagram being available to kind of maintain the rules to it. But we did give away that free month, and as we said, like I said, once we hit 50, I'm going to do a bigger giveaway. I'm going to decide on what exactly it's going to be as we get closer, or if we hit it off on it at one point randomly, I'll make that choice at the time. It's probably going to be some sort of coffee company swag, apparel, shirts, mugs, maybe a care package. And like I said, anybody who's in here participating on a very frequent basis, or comes in, checks in daily, stops by, has a good interaction, good question, something like that, I'm going to start doing little giveaways for that kind of stuff as well. So I'm hoping that everybody here can see the value of having a community, and that's what we're looking to kind of just continue to build as we have this Tradecaster platform available to us. I think Deck and the team over at Tradecaster are really great. They provide us a good opportunity to be able to connect with traders, from a bunch of different platforms. Like I'm doing futures. You have people over there like Deck doing penny stocks. You have AK just doing a little bit of everything. We got options. We got Yeah Buddy. We got Mamba Trader. We got tons of new streamers. So if you get bored of me and I'm not trading because nothing here, the free month went to Trademaster. we did the spin live on the stream, so everybody was able to see that we where we did it. So this guy Trade Master here won it. He's been on the stream here in and out since I've started, so they got their free month. But I'm going to continue to do the giveaways. So the more people stay in the room, the more we're going to have more and more opportunities for people to win stuff and get goodies, and also learn the opportunities that you're going to get from the value of the trading. Right? That's what I'm here for. I'm here to provide trading value to everybody who comes in the room. I want to be able to make you understand why. Okay, if you didn't even know that this was happening, you'd be like, why did price push so far down and so far up, and now why is it flat? Why are we getting no new real movement right now? Right? You're stuck in a little tight little range, and normally you'd be like, oh, okay, I understand. Maybe price doesn't move, but could it be because Jerome Powell's about to testify to the House of Representatives, and we're getting long opening statements from Mr. Scott here? Where I think he's just running through a monologue here until Jerome Powell starts to talk. But once JPOW says, "Yo, what's up, fam?" I'm sure price will do some dancing. He's going to read his opening statement. You may get some more price movement, algos, driving. But yesterday, he didn't say anything new. There was no new information. What's going to change from Wednesday to Thursday? It's the only thing is the location changes, right? He changed from Congress to the House of Representatives, and now that's what we're just kind of listening to the elected officials make comments to Jerome. So there he is, the Honorable Jerome H. Powell, about to start his monologue. Let's listen in to see what he says, if it's got any worth or not.
The Federal Reserve remains squarely focused on our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. The economy has made considerable progress toward these objectives over the past year. While inflation
More
remains
coffee.
above the FOMC's objective of 2%, it has eased substantially, and the slowing in inflation has occurred without a significant increase in unemployment. As labor market tightness has eased and progress on inflation has continued, the risks to achieving our employment and inflation goals have been moving into better balance. Even so, the committee remains highly attentive to inflation risks and is acutely aware that high inflation imposes significant hardship, especially on those least able to meet the higher costs of essentials, food, housing, and transportation. The FOMC is strongly committed to returning inflation to its 2% objective. Restoring price stability is essential to achieve a sustained period of strong labor market conditions that benefit all. I'll review the current economic situation before turning to monetary policy. Economic activity expanded at a strong pace over the past year. For 2023 as a whole, gross domestic product increased 3.1%, bolstered by solid consumer demand and improving supply conditions. Activity in the housing sector was subdued over the past year, largely reflecting high mortgage rates. High interest rates also appear to have been weighing on business fixed investment. The labor market remains relatively tight, but supply and demand conditions have continued to come into better balance. Since the middle of last year, payroll job gains have averaged 239,000 jobs per month, and the unemployment rate has remained near historical lows at 3.7%. Strong job creation has been accompanied by an increase in the supply of workers, particularly among individuals aged 25 to 54, and a continued strong pace of immigration. Job vacancies have declined, and nominal wage growth has been easing. Although the jobs to workers gap has narrowed, labor demand still exceeds the supply of available workers. The strong labor market over the past 2 years has also helped narrow long-standing disparities in employment and earnings across demographic groups. Inflation has eased notably over the past year, but remains above the FOMC's longer-run goal of 2%. Total personal consumption expenditures prices, or PCE prices, rose 2.4% over the 12 months ending in January. Excluding the volatile food and energy category,
You too.
Oh, of course, we got a commercial right in the middle of him saying something.
Imaging.
There we go.
Notables as reflected by a broad range of surveys of households, businesses, and forecasters, as well as measures from financial markets. After significantly tightening the stance of monetary policy since early 2022, the FOMC has maintained the target range for the federal funds rate at 5.25% to 5.5% since its last meeting last July. We have also continued to shrink our balance sheet at a brisk pace and in a predictable manner. Our restrictive stance of monetary policy is putting downward pressure on economic activity and inflation. We believe that our policy rate is likely at its peak for this tightening cycle. If the economy evolves broadly as expected, it will likely be appropriate to begin dialing back policy restraint at some point this year. But the economic outlook is uncertain, and ongoing progress toward our 2% inflation objective is not assured. Reducing policy
You can see price trying to break above here right now. At the moment, you got a little bit of a pop there. You know, he hasn't said anything different
to get inflation back into
from yesterday. Just
At the same time,
they're trying to hold that 2% rate.
or too little could unduly weaken economic activity.
Pretty much the same speech as yesterday. So I don't see this, pop getting any follow through, especially with NVIDIA. I mean, NVIDIA is holding above 906, but you can see we do have this little bit of a
Committee does not expect there will be
a high end of resistance there kind of forming. If it does break out and go and start to rally, then we'll watch it. But also you have to be mindful of Microsoft at 406.18. 406.18, I mean, it's been our golden area. I'm glad that line has been gold for the last few weeks. So, you could get some rejection from Microsoft here, even if NVIDIA does follow through. So you may get that break and then kind of a lack of follow through just because Microsoft doesn't break through that area and starts to roll over. So you do have to kind of weigh the two, even though NVIDIA is breaking to new all-time highs. If Microsoft and Apple and everything else sort of fails, it gives this NQ a bit of a muted reaction, right?
To raise rates when prices shot up in 2021. We can't make that mistake again, Mr. Chair, at the expense of workers. If the Fed waits until unemployment starts increasing, it may be too late to cut rates in time to save American jobs. Why shouldn't the Fed act now to prevent workers from losing their jobs rather than reacting after the fact?
We're well aware of that risk, of course, and very conscious of avoiding it. And what we said is, if what we expect and what we're seeing is continued strong growth, strong labor market, progress in bringing inflation down, if that happens, if the economy...
Are you leaving, Max? I'll see you later. I love you too, bud. Come give a high five. Come on. Have fun. Say bye.
Bye.
Love you.
I know we've had this conversation publicly here, but privately also. As you know, when people hit the hardest with inflation, they're also hit the hardest when companies try to cut costs with layoffs. This town too often seems to forget that maximum employment is part of the Fed's dual mandate. Let me ask you about bank supervision. Senator Scott mentioned that.
They're going to talk about the same shit they talked about yesterday, right? He's talking about bank supervision, oversight, that Habble 3 or Babel 3 or whatever they're talking about for increasing funds for trading, not as far as what we're doing, but as far as what the big banks are doing. Interest rate stuff. Obviously, they're going to talk about inflation. They're going to talk about real inflation as opposed to food and energy and the housing. Right? You're seeing Microsoft having a hard time getting up into that 406 area, and we did get a break of the 908. This little trend here. We're not quite breaking new highs yet, and it looks like we're about to break it. Or we just did. We just broke the high. We created a new high there at 909.99. So looking to break 910 for NVIDIA to continue on upside, which should, continue this push up. So if you had that buy side bias, as I mentioned here, I didn't trust this breakdown because there was not like a confirmation, right? We did get a hold, and then it got to a point where I said, I don't quite trust it. So if it was going to fail, because NVIDIA was pushing highs, right? And this was kind of pushing down through. So I thought the bounce was in if 900 reclaimed. You got that rotation back above 144. If you took that long because I was avoiding my shorts, right? The reason I don't get short is because I think a long is going to come in, right? So there's that double edge. So if I say, hey, this is a good area for me to be mindful of a short, but if the short doesn't confirm, the long possibly comes in, and that's why I'm not going to take the short, right? So the short did not confirm. It was a failed breakdown, and now you're getting breakout of the highs. NVIDIA's breaking out of highs. So if you took that long here, you are in okay shape. I just, like I said, I didn't have any information really to get myself involved in the long, but at the same time, I didn't have any information I didn't have enough to get into the short.
Better answer than most. One last question. More and more many companies use algorithms that combine competitors' price information to engage in what they call dynamic pricing or surge pricing. You know that corporate PR teams worked hard on this. Just another way for corporations to make it harder for consumers to seek out lower prices and to pad corporate profits. Are you concerned that the wide adoption of these price gouging strategies, these pricing schemes, if you will contribute to inflation?
Yeah, I think it works both ways. Let me say this, we're well aware of this trend and we're monitoring it. Remember that prices go down when there's no one in the store, and they go up when there are a lot of people. If you're doing dynamic pricing, same thing with the ride companies. It works both ways. I don't know that it has implication for inflation. It would certainly have implications for consumers who need to be informed.
You think that this kind of surge pricing might lower prices overall?
I mean, that's my understanding is that the idea is that in slow periods, prices actually go down, and in higher in busy periods they go up.
But these are sophisticated economists working for these big companies.
Interesting
They're not
speak
gonna do
there.
things to lower their profits.
And I think the price mechanism is incredibly important in our economy. I think we need to give companies the freedom to do that as long as they're not fixing prices or failing to disclose the nature of the price changes to the public.
I have a few seconds. Research has indicated constrained supply was behind a significant amount of the inflation we've seen over the last few years. If the supply chain, for instance, of autos had been more resilient, or if there had been more housing availability, would that have made your job easier?
Yes. In your words. Yeah. A big part of the inflation was when we saw it.
Copy code. Let me see. I'm going to see if I can embed something real quick. And
When the labor supply shock that we had unwound as well, we saw inflation come down very quickly in the second half of the year. But it's also down to tight monetary policies playing a role as well.
Which leads me to the plea with you to speak out.
nope, that did not work.
Inflation, about the contribution of corporate profits and greed to inflation. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Trying to embed a code. I'm going to do that later. See if I can get you guys. I want to pop above this little scrolling bar down here at the bottom a code that'll give you, the prices of NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple, and stuff like that. So if I do mention a price point or something within those numbers, you're going to get a scrolling ticker. But I have to figure out how to get that embedded code involved in. Yeah, I want to see if I can get it in here or not. We do have NVIDIA breaking 910 and holding above. Microsoft not quite playing nice with 40618 quite yet, so we're going to be mindful of that. Apple, like I mentioned, it was going to stay choppy within this 169.82 to 168, 169, basically right in between here. Without much new information, Apple has nowhere to go. It's been beaten down. Apple was holding below 170. That was really like the key level from yesterday. If we hold below 170 and accept, you may start to see it just to continue rolling down. But if you get any good news, if you get any good news out of Apple or out of if NVIDIA just continues to rally and the S&Ps start to continue up, then maybe Apple will catch slight bid and kind of pop its head above 170. But really, as I mentioned on the open, I think in Apple, there aren't as many people flooding into Apple at the moment to start buying or anything like that. I think really the play, people are just in NVIDIA and they're just looking to see how high they can take it. I mentioned today on the open that NVIDIA was going to do a gap and go. And because the gap and go idea, since we're here and we're, I'm gonna go with the daily for you.
$1 billion. Couple that with in New York.
If you go to the daily, how gap and goes work, well, it's hard because it's been doing it every day this week, right? I'm gonna go to a 4 hour. It'll probably be easier to see.
Mayor Adams says he needs more money because
Not really.
the state of affairs from illegal
30 minutes.
in the city.
All right, a gap and go. This is what I mean by gap and go, right? So you have yesterday's session here. This is the range of the session. The blue shaded area is post-market. Yellow shaded area is pre-market. The close from yesterday was right here at 887.60-ish, right? So that's the close. Post-market, you just get some action that happens. It's kind of sort of irrelevant. Pre-market, the market opens up and pushes up into the 900 level, right where people were anticipating it kind of hitting yesterday, right? So 900 being that key psychological number, big level, and really getting above yesterday's high. The high of yesterday was 897.24. So anything where it holds above that level is a gap and go type scenario, because not only did it gap up above the close, it gapped up above yesterday's highest point. So that just shows you that there's strength in buyers up here. And not only did it do that, it gapped above that key psychological level of 900. So when you get to points like that where you're going to do a gap and go, right? You gap up from the close, you gap up above this price level, and you continue to rally. Same thing happened the day before, right? Day before, you're in this range here. You had the close here at 8, let's call it 859.50. You had the post-market kind of sell off some. You opened up that pre-market above the high, and then right when we got to open, I'm gonna sneeze. Nope. All right, whatever. So we got above here, the high of that prior day, we opened well above it, even above this previous structure. If you open above higher structure from even the day before, you're gonna try and hold it. If it doesn't fail and close that gap, it tends to continue on to the upside without ever coming down and filling that gap. So now we're in that same type of scenario here yesterday or 2 days ago. Yesterday, now you're getting the same scenario here today. And once you get above 900, who's selling this at the moment? The only people selling it is the people who are looking to take profits on it. And I do not see NVIDIA taking a step back until AI takes a step back, right? This is obviously the leader in the AI world right now. So as far as businesses are concerned, maybe not in the actual AI realm, but NVIDIA is not only a chip maker, video cards, video games, AI. They invest a lot of their money into 5 other AI companies. So if those AI companies do well as well, then this company takes off and you're off to the races as well. So there's a lot of different factors besides NVIDIA being a chip name. It's got investments in other chip sector names. So it kind of has its hands in everything. So if they don't do something and those other companies do well, NVIDIA as a company still has money invested elsewhere. So that's what I mean by a gap and go setup for the day. I did mention it early. I said if it does break down and reclaim 900, you're going to be off to the races. And what do you know? 900 broke, came up, failed one more time, held it obviously there. And once we got the break above this little wedge, you could see it played out beautifully. I mentioned also, no matter what NVIDIA does, if Microsoft can't break and hold 406.18, which is the highest weighted market cap in this NQ, even though NVIDIA is working on trying to take over, then you're going to get some stagnation in our price where we want to trade, right? If Microsoft starts to get to 406.18 and fail, then you may start to get this to start, continuing to creep down. If NVIDIA fails its breakout and comes back below 906 at all, then we will probably see price re-accept into here, and then we're going to be mindful of our trend line here that's really not well drawn. I think as I drew it on the 5-minute. So that's really more likely to hold if that
There's
breaks
a lot of adjectives.
this time, then maybe you get the actual flush to the downside because you're going to get some help from NVIDIA and Microsoft and Apple. But at the moment, right now, NVIDIA is super strong. So since NVIDIA is so strong, you're not going to get that breakdown quite yet. And then if Microsoft does break above 406.18 and hold, then I think all-time highs are in the cards for maybe not today, but soon.
Immigration. And if you look at the Congressional Budget Office numbers, it kind of makes sense because there was a lot of growth. Wages were coming down. The economy was bigger.
Like I mentioned, it's not
Probably partly part effect.
a day where I'm looking to just hammer trades, especially when JPOW is just talking and talking and talking and talking. So I'm trying to go over other things that that are gonna help you as traders, help you within the community, understand where I'm at, what I want to do as far as a trader is concerned. If you're patient and you take less trades, you're gonna be better off than you would be if you were just hammering the buttons, because commissions will kill you too.
So I agree we need to do what is necessary to have a regularized order. I also think.
I think we are kind of just gathering information now at these price points. Price is not quite ready to be convinced one way or the other.
Let me turn to another question. In my view, the sticky.
We are in an area of congestion all the way pretty much up to 270. So 270 is all the way up here. So you could really kind of, the way it ground down from 270 all the way down to where we're at now, 218 to 220. So 270 to 220, you may get some grind up into that 270 zone. And then if you get any further continuation on any of these names, then that break at 270 may give you like a nice pop and then into all-time highs. But I'm going to kind of watch that zone to be a failure point as well. I do think that we possibly are running into, I mean, it could be a point where we break out harder. But like I said, I don't have an entry here. So for me, with all these prices slowing down to a crawl, for the NASDAQ to not be wanting to just rip its face off right here, you know that they're kind of just waiting on what Jerome Powell is talking about, what he's mentioning. I'm going to try and get this out of the middle of the screen here for you so it's not quite. Yeah, that's good right there.
Housing shortage, and it's going to be causing
All right.
upward pressure.
That's a good spot.
Now, the monetary policy report noted that.
Anybody here that's executing on trades, you know, on the NASDAQ or the S&Ps, let me know. I did mention the S&Ps is they cracked this 5148 level here, 5148.50. It was rejecting it earlier. Now it accepted above it. It's coming up into that 5157.75. If the S&Ps can break that all-time high, NASDAQ is lagging it pretty good. I did mention us creeping up, so you can see this is the 30-minute for the S&Ps approaching that high. And the NASDAQ, you can see not quite near that level, even though the names that are carrying us up are the NVIDIAs, the Microsofts. You know, those are names that are more likely to drive the NASDAQ a bit further than maybe the S&Ps, because the S&Ps is 500 companies, right? And not as heavy tech weighted. But those names are still there. That 5157.75 is that all-time high, so you will get some reaction at that level. If you do break it, expect, you know, some pop above. 5,200 isn't out of the realm of possibility for this year, like they did mention over at JP Morgan. I do think, since we are holding above the NQ level here, the 220 level, like I said, we probably grind up into that 270 to 280 level. We probably grind up into here. I'm going to draw a little rectangle for you just to be aware of. 270 up into 280-ish. 290? I'll put it up to 290. That little zone there may be an interesting level to be mindful of coming up. There's a little bit of liquidity going on there, and then once we crack that low a couple days ago, 4 days ago, when we had that sell-off, that was the sell point. So that was the breakdown point. So if we're going to come back and retest that area and see if there's any liquidity there, That's going to be the zone to be mindful of.
and then make the appropriate changes.
But like I said, it's probably just going to grind up until it does get there, unless these names start to falter. And you can see, like I mentioned, once Microsoft gets to 406.18, there's going to be some reaction. You're going to get either a rejection of the zone and a pullback, or if it holds 406.18 for some time and rallies up, then you'll get some more continuation on the NQs. Nvidia got up to 916 even. I don't have. This is obviously all-time highs, all-time highs, all-time highs. There's no like there's no old information to kind of go off of here for liquidity. So Nvidia is acting purely on new information and what people want to do with it. I know I have JPOW's conversation going on up there as well. So you're not really getting a lot of exaggerated movements in any of these names. You know, with Nvidia going up $10, yeah, it was a good breakout. That was, you know, all the setup worked out well, but you're not getting a crazy follow through. The price isn't moving very quickly. Same with Microsoft. A lot of times when it gets to that 406.18 level, you saw on the open sold off pretty hard quickly, but nobody was saying anything here. The testimony wasn't going on, so the algos weren't waiting for the information to kind of come in. So right now, like I said, I do feel like we grind up until we get into this 270 to 290 range, and then you may get a harder reaction, especially if it happens around that time when JPOW is about to stop talking and testifying on the Hill. So now we're talking about Basel III again. Like, that's banking regulations. We looked it up yesterday to make sure we kind of understood what they're talking about. I did mention, like I said, these 2 days, it's going to be a lot of the same chatter. You know, it's the same information he's providing, just to two different groups of people. And it's just the same. I mean, in the internet age and the days of information that we're living in now, everybody has all of his information at all times, right? We're watching it on a weekly basis. We're watching the economic calendars. We're seeing the same data that he's seeing. And, you know, a lot of these Fed members speak weekly. So you're getting everything he's saying prior to this. So maybe in the past, this might have been the only broadcasted information, so you might get more movement out of it. Right now, it's pretty much, it seems like it just waits to see if he's going to say anything out of the ordinary for the algos to try to pick and grab off of, just like key phrase words, for it to either rip it up or sell it off, and then just manipulate it until he's done talking, and then get back to the normal buy-sell programs. We are living in an AI computerized world, right? We're watching Nvidia because it's an AI name. It's heavily invested in the AI world, right? But that's what's going on behind the scenes in the markets. If you don't believe it, then you're kind of out of touch a bit, right? This is not all people buying and selling. You know, there's actually retail bots available. You could set up an algorithm yourself. You could code it yourself and have it just sit there and it'll buy and sell for you. You don't have to do anything. So for you to believe that the large players in this game that are making this market happen aren't just using basically a computer with no brain, no emotion to just go and make them tons and tons of money on little price movements, then you're a little bit mistaken. I recommend you read a book called Flash Boys, and then let me know what you think of it. It's a really, really good book. But it kind of gives you a little bit of an understanding of the realities of the trading world and financial markets, and kind of how, even though there is regulation, some of that regulation fights itself and creates new holes for the bigger players to manipulate and capitalize on. So if this slowly grinds higher and gets us into that zone, I would wait to see a manipulation up here, a wick of some sort, delta divergence, all that fun stuff that I wait for at key levels, and then I would take that short unless it accepts and holds above here and then rips you to all-time highs. All-time highs would be up there at 18,381.
Inflation's come down. I actually think some of the things, like the CHIPS bill, the infrastructure bill, and some of President Biden's policies have actually kept the economy growth rate.
Come on, what is that number? 378? We'll call it 380.
a lot of
18,380.
without seeing a dramatic rise in
It's up here.
unemployment. Again, that'll be something we'll
That could possibly. I mean, the way the Nasdaq rolls, it could happen today. You never know, especially if the S&P's cracks its highs.
My time on issues around less about monetary policy and more about regulation.
Any questions, comments, concerns? I really wanted to be able to answer anything that you guys have as far as what you could be looking at, or why I'm not trading right now, or
And that is
why I'm
non-bank.
even streaming. Anything. I don't care. We'll talk about. AK likes to talk about food all the time. I like to get hungry when I'm listening to AK talking about food. I like to talk about coffee because I run on coffee. I'm caffeinated 99.9% of the time, and even when I'm sleeping. Yesterday, the guy talked from 9 a.m. till 1 in the afternoon. That was the end of his little session. The Congress mentioned that, probably around noon or whatever time. So they mentioned that. There's a chance that towards the end of the questioning, it just becomes repetitive, and I just turn it off. There's a good chance I may not trade at all during the stream. If we get into this zone, I am way more interested to execute even in spite of him talking, because I think it's just a heavy liquidity zone there. Really could get up into 314. So I would like to see. There's a chance, like I said, if it gets into this zone, if it grinds and grinds and grinds and grinds and grinds, and we get up into here around that. The reason I drew this rectangle off to the side over here is because I expect that to get there kind of within that time frame, right? That's the time expectancy I see it happening. If you get a crazy whip on it, it runs up to 314, tries to come into it and fails it, then I'll be interested in shorting it, even though he's still talking. I'm not going to break my rules. I don't have a rule saying I'm not going to trade, but I am avoiding trading in this. You see how this is just not doing anything? I'm going to click off of it real quick so you can see the screen a little bit better and less distraction, right? So the reason I don't trade this, if I zoom in, it looks like there's more opportunity, right? Because this is a 1 minute. If you really want to know what that price looks like, it looks more like this, right? It looks very flat. But I zoom in, this is the price movement that we got here. For the opening range to be 75 ticks, it's pretty much an average opening range. The only real move you had is this first move and then this V bottom, right? And then obviously if you wanted to take the breakout from the highs based on NVIDIA, you're going to get this grinding type action if you're willing to take that trade and just stick with this kind of chop. But the only time I would have liked to have had any sort of entries was prior to him talking, because once he started, or once they anticipated he started, right, sold off, got into this range, and then now we got right dead center of that opening range, right? You had 42 ticks to the top, 40 ticks to the bottom, so right dead center of that range, and you just, once he started talking, none of this is opportunity for me. Failed breakdown, rally up. Yes, you could have taken that, like I said, but I don't play breakouts, and especially while he's talking, I'm not looking for it. But now we're looking to approach the zone, but I need that zone to kind of tell me something when we get there in order for me to get short on it. Because if S&Ps are breaking all-time highs and we get to here and then S&Ps are holding the all-time highs, I'm not that interested in a short, because I do think that the NQ wants to try and catch up. So long-winded answer to not that there's no trades today. There is a chance, because we are going to approach this area kind of soon, but because you are seeing Delta even tick up here. So this was a break above this zone. You get a little bit of an idea of what you're getting. There's a break above that. So you started to get some liquidity right here. Come on. That's one thing about it, it kind of locks into there. So that's an area that is interesting just for me, because there was buying kind of happening there. You are going to start to see price to tick up, but we are not, like I said, we're not interested until it gets into this box and then maybe gives you some whippy action in order to get my, delta divergences and all that. Why is that not moving?
I was about to take
There we go.
Senator Warren.
So yeah,
Welcome, Chair Powell.
potential trades will happen. I'm just being way more patient, and I need to see some sort of setup happen, and not just to happen, right? Get rid of that. I kind of just adjust these as I go to see if it holds or not, and kind of what kind of information we get out of these. So now if this kind of grinds up into that zone there, you get a very whippy action to the high side, maybe even hitting off on that 315, 320, and you start to fail it and come back down, and then you get to this trend line again. There's a lot more confluence now, right? You have a trend line that's holding this up, increased buying happening here. You have a liquidity zone. If it whips it, gives you like a little double top action, like over here. You see over here on this end. We'll go here. Something like this, right? Something like this. If we get that kind of action over at that zone, or even on the smaller scale, if we get this one here, you want to see something happen like that. That's the kind of trade I want to get involved in, because at least even if I get in and it doesn't get this full huge follow through, I could get myself to break even pretty quickly because the price never goes up against me. It doesn't act in resistance, and then you could just trail it down and just make as much money as the trail will give you. That's the kind of strategy I'm looking to catch for a move like that, right? So we're approaching that zone now. I would like to see it get up into that 20 area, but if it holds here and keeps on going, then like I said, all-time highs are a possibility, because S&Ps right now are knocking on the door and looking to break their all-time highs. Right now, actually, just broke. So we literally just broke all-time highs, new all-time highs in S&P. Right? There's nothing to the left, nothing there. You don't have anything. New all-time highs, S&P 500. ES obviously leading us upside today. Very interesting to note for sure. Last time that happened, we got a little tweezer top and a failure. So I want to see this push up here above our liquidity zone area. Give me that confluence, and then when we can kind of come up into here and then maybe consolidate and break, then hopefully the S&Ps can also do the same thing. But right now, I'm going to leave you with JPOW, and I'm going to use the restroom for a minute, and I'll be right back. So just hang out with Jerome.
It's easier to knock down what I think is a poor foundation and build a better house. So again, just wanted to make that comment publicly. I got a question about shrinkflation. I tell you, some of these words that we come up with, but President Biden's using the idea of shrinkflation and chastising manufacturers for creating smaller portion sizes for potato chips. I'll use that as one example. But if you have rising input costs, and you're not able to control that, and you're in a marginal business to begin with, and now you're saying you can't even reduce the quantities, how does a business that's not making a profit make that work?
We see inflation as, at the aggregate level, as a mismatch between supply and demand. Yeah. And as we've seen supply get better and we've seen demand cool off a bit, it was very hot coming out of the pandemic. We see inflation coming down.
We saw food inflation between 2010 2021 at 18% over 11 years, and over the last 3 years we've seen it at 21%. I think that we have a industry that's trying to actually provide products that consumers want, and now they're being chastised for trying to figure out how to make the numbers work. So this whole idea of shrinkflation is just confounding me. I'd like to submit some for the record.
All right, I'm back. Price is approaching that zone. Like I said, I drew it longer, and I kind of anticipated it coming into here around this time, and that's why I drew it up. Oh man, I left you on the wrong screen, I think. What's going on here? There we go. Sorry about that. Left you on the wrong screen. I left you with Jerome talking, but I didn't let you see his beautiful face.
First, I guess I see stock buybacks and dividends as just the same thing in a different form.
Back to mentioning the
Comment on anything that you may have said.
the zone here, right? We are watching NVIDIA, S&P's breaking all-time highs and holding.
Consistent on that, but I just can't imagine.
Microsoft broke above that like I mentioned to you before. Microsoft at 406.18 is going to be very important to watch. If it holds and breaks and gets above, then you're going to continue to see continuation. And same with NVIDIA, in spite of what NVIDIA does, right? NVIDIA could get to 1,000 and, it'll not quite, rally us to a crazy level, although it may. It's got that weight. But Microsoft needs to play along, and as it holds above 406.18, so does the long, right? And now Apple it was in this little range, like I mentioned. It's probably going to stay within this range until you get a little bit more information, and then a crack to the lows could occur if any of these names break. If NVIDIA, Microsoft, and the NASDAQ break, then the Apple short could come in. Really, I am just looking to see what happens at this level now. We're here. I did mention I want to see it maybe get strong, get whippy up into potentially that 315, 313 to 320 area. That's not out of the realm of possibility. And I did mention I'm not going to take the short if the S&Ps are holding over their all-time highs. I can't justify shorting while another index is pushing all-time highs, and that index includes a lot of the same names that the NQ does, right? So I would just be mindful of that. They kind of act concurrent. So like I said, you're getting that little bit of rejection there. Obviously, it's not huge, and you're not getting a ton of reaction here. But you will watch that S&P holding that 5157.75. That's the level I'll be mindful of watching. S&P's has pushed up since the open. Really, S&P's has pushed up since here at 5089.50, right? You got that move down to there yesterday around 2 a.m. Yeah, well, this morning around 2 a.m. and you've been straight up ever since. So NQ, same deal, but we made a little bit of a higher low. So it was like an interesting type of price action. Made a higher low there. Wicked that low basically at the same time. 2 a.m. rally ever since 2 a.m. 2 a.m. is that Asian Open, or the European Open. DayTradingCoffeeCode.com. Use your code PolicingPips to get yourself 15% off. We're in the zone. You see a little bit of a wick. You're getting a wick here. Jerome is gone. Not sure what happened to him. Lost Jerome's feed. There we go. He's back. So Miss Smith is chatting us up. I really don't want to do much when he's talking. We are in a place of interest for me. We're starting to set up. We do want to see what kind of reaction we have at this trend line, what kind of reaction we have within this zone. As the S&P holds its highs, the all-time high, now just every tick up is a new all-time high on the S&Ps. We have more room to the upside within the NASDAQ for that all-time high, right? I mentioned it was 382, which is pretty much if you see price at the top end of the screen, we're approaching that all-time high. Right now, we're not there yet. And I did mention, like I said, this is a congestion area. Up into that 318 is potentially plausible, 318, 320. I'm just interested down here because I do believe that was an area where it broke down prior, right? From the low of 70 up into 90, like 300, right? 300 is a psychological level. We've gone up 300 points. More than 300 points. 900, so 400 points since 2 a.m. That's a pretty big swing. I would love to at least see Little League families. Sorry, just checking on the app.
I mean, we don't actually, home prices don't actually go into the calculation of inflation. It's really
Okay.
rents and owner's equivalent rent.
You can see that rejection at that area, right? I drew up the zone.
Difficult situation.
While you're watching, we're presenting why there's liquidity at certain areas. I want to be interested here. I want to see if NVIDIA or if anybody. So we cracked that trend line. So there's a chance we come back into this here now. And then I want to watch and see what happens there. I don't know if this is going to, because S&Ps did dip below 157.75. I want to see if it'll give me a delta divergence. So like this first here breakdown, not quite convincing, not very forceful. If I can get it to break up above our zone into that 90 area, give me a low, or even, you know, if it gives me a lower high at 80, then the next crack of the trend line could give me that confirmation of a short. If it just goes without me right now, it just goes without me. That's fine. I'm not really worried about it. I'm not super interested in trying to take something at this moment. 10 o'clock is a really a good time for me to start thinking about executing something, because price tends to get a little bit more confirming for me. You know, I get my confirmations better after 10. And I mean, we only have 3 more minutes till I have to pause on my holds on trades anyway. So if I don't execute this right this second right now on the breakdown, then really I'm not going to execute on it. So if you're convinced on just every trend line break, taking it at a zone, go for it. You could have taken that short and then risked the high of the day, but I do think that there is probably one more manipulation left in this before it decides that it wants to sell off. I mean, if it's, like I said, if it's just a
I believe you did.
run up right to my zone and never look back, then I did a fantastic job of drawing a zone, but I didn't execute a trade, right? But I want that extra confluence to make sure that I'm able to limit my risk, maximize some of my gains, and give you the value that you deserve, and not just hammer into trades just because, you know, you get a portion of your setup, right? The only way I could say, you know, really justifiably enter into this and give it some space is to go into a micro, throw 1 micro on, and then just risk like a wild, like, I mean, risk a full risk all the way up. 1 micro, if I like entered right now and risked
I've said that.
250, I would be risking up to like 370. So it would be above the highs of that previous breakdown. So if I really wanted to scale in to a micro, you know, around here, you know, get one in here. If it leaves the train without you only have 1 micro on, and then if it reapproaches it, add a second micro, and if it wicks the high and starts to crush the low, and you get your real confirmed entry, add the rest of your position on, and then as it starts to move your way,
Yes, it is.
if it's your, you know, if it's your strategy to start shedding maybe as you approach down here, and then if you can get a break of this trend line, start trailing your entire position. That's the way I could say you can do this without being you know, you're not going to be able to get full size on with with just a direct rejection.
I think I did read that a couple months ago.
Did you read the article entitled, I quote again, FDIC lawyer stayed on paid leave for weeks after child porn arrest, end quote.
I don't remember that one.
Okay, did you read the article entitled also?
I love that. We're getting more viewers every day. You know, consistently building a little bit of a community here. I want to see if I could get our stream to each week just grow organically a bit more. I want to try and like provide more value, get some more interaction. So if you do know anybody that likes trading or wants to get involved into trading or has no idea what they're doing, or, you know, just always thought that they could, you know, want to maybe do this, or somebody that just wants some community, that wants to be involved and get together with a group of like-minded individuals. Maybe you want to get into futures and you were in Forex or something, head over to Tradecaster, share it with your friends, share it with them, let them know I'm free in here. I just need to build that stream count up, build that community, and try and, you know, provide value to somebody besides me and, you know, everybody in here, just continuously growing it. If it's just a couple of us, I don't mind. You know, I'll still do it every day.
And she allegedly said, quote, obviously if I want, or he allegedly.
My goal is to do it every single day I possibly can. Next week, I know we're building on a good foundation here. I do have my family coming into town, and my office where I stream is where my family stays. So I'm less likely to be streaming. I may be able to get on Monday. Tuesday, I'm probably not going to be on, and then from the rest of that week, probably no trades for me with them in town. We're going to be exploring the Houston area as a family. So no need to be distracted. If you do have family and you know if that's what you do, give your family that time. Don't distract yourself with trading because you're just going to force in things and make it not quite enjoyable for everybody.
Here's my question, I could go on for a while. Could go on, but you're not gonna go on, so you've passed your 5 minutes to your question.
This guy, you could go on, but you've passed your 5 minutes. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll go over to Sunnyside, make sure I show them the real nice areas. Maybe we can hang out and
I asked
get some crack or meth or something.
once, I have let you go way over the 5 minutes to get your question, but you did 6 minutes.
Oh wow, talking. They're talking crap to each other.
I'm gonna order you're gonna be at 6 minutes and 15 seconds to continue this argument. Or you're gonna ask your question. I'll ask my question. I just wanted to
Mr. Kennedy is such a fucking.
in light of these allegations, if they're proven, how can the FDIC
Here's that pull back to our breakout area, right? That's what I'm looking to see if this is going to hold or if it's going to rally from here. You can see NVIDIA trying to catch a little bit of a bid from here. I think as long as NVIDIA continues its rally to the upside and Microsoft holds 406.18, you could see, I mean, Microsoft can go all the way up into that 412 reasonably on a day, right? So that's not out of the realm of possibility for this market to continue to push through, right? So 3 minutes till 10. If I can get that setup, that delta divergence setup, that push up, maybe a wick above here and then a failure down, that's when I'll be more convinced to enter my short, to get myself involved. And then, the rest of these questions are nonsense to JP, but we will still leave them up there for the time being. If I take no trades up until 11, I apologize, but I'm trying to show you some discipline as well. I'll be calling out levels. Like I said, I drew it up here. If you're the type of trader who just sets a limit order and lets that thing play out, you'd be in pretty good shape so far. I would be mindful of this. Hold on, there's a commercial for Jerome. I would be mindful of this area where we're at. There could be a bounce here. So, I mean, it's up to you if you want to just leave your stop either at break even or above, or if you're just playing like a wide range, like I've mentioned, where you're going to scale into this. Or like I said, if you're just if you're a limit order type person, you got in here, like let's say right there at 278, 280, you set your limit, you got filled, and your stop's above this zone, just be cautious. This is a bounce area. It could rotate back up, give you that either that lower high or that wick off top, especially like I said, watching NVIDIA possibly rotating higher. S&Ps are holding below that 157.75, so we are about to close that 30-minute candle within 30 seconds. If it closes below there, I would be watching downside potential coming in.
Housing, if you think of affordable housing as something that's connected to some sort of government program, that's not our bailiwick. I mean, clearly interest rates do.
They always like to ask him about policy that he has no control over, and he just has that great answer every time. Nope, I don't do it. We don't do that. It has nothing to do with what the Fed does. Stop asking me that question. Basically, it's really what he says all the time. Break here, come on up into that, fail up here, give me that setup, and then we rotate back to the downside after a slow grind up higher. I'm going to take that off because I don't think it's really that important. We do have that 250 high volume node right here, so break above it probably gives you a little bit of a push, like a harder push. If not, if there's a giant seller sitting here, then this might roll from there, but you are starting to get that thought. 10 o'clock is now in. We are available to take trades if we would like to. So now that we're at 10, Jerome Powell's conversations becoming just redundant questioning from the House, same as yesterday. I will be watching. You know, I'll put this back. I'll be watching this. Watching that area, watching this zone. You do see Delta pop up over here. You popped up, started to sell off, got a push in Delta there. As you approached this zone here, right? I drew this up before. You saw it happen live. We got into that zone there. Delta, you got a wiki candle, and you started to push to a green Delta. You see Delta flattening out. Price whipped down. You got a tick up in Delta. Price started to push back to the upside, right? Now you're going to look to see if price breaks above here, does Delta follow through and make a new high as well? If that's the case, then you may see that follow through continuation until you get to the high side. Then we're going to watch this level right here. If price gets up and above here and Delta does not, or vice versa, if Delta pushes through here really hard and price just has a really hard time getting through that 80, doesn't quite make a follow through, and you start to see a turn in Delta pull down, I'll take the short right then, and that'll indicate to me that there's a larger buyer, larger seller kind of just sitting right there, and he wants to not let the price get through and kind of rotate downside. See if the dome surface gives us any clear cut information about that. Right, I said 280, right? So 280, there was a 50 guy sitting there.
You got to think 10 years from now, how are you going to get past
20 guy. There's not any like huge orders, just resting. Up above at 270.
Thank you, Chair Powell.
Yeah,
Senator,
I don't have anything up there right now. I can't see that much. I could set for more orders, but there are some orders kind of lingering around 60s.
And my gratitude to you, the ranking member, for doing this hearing. And thank you, Chairman Powell, for being here. It's good to see you again. I think these hearings are always very important. Actually, gives us an opportunity to sort of provide some oversight to what's going on with Fed veterans.
You may get a time correction with Microsoft down into 406.18 where it kind of just drifts and drifts and drifts and then kind of price corrects down and bounces. With NVIDIA, with the crack and the breakout, you can probably justify this pushing up. Oh, man, they're crushing it in Utah. Fantastic job over there, Deck. Anytime Deck offers that opportunity, go out there to Utah, go skiing, go trade live with him. If you are into those things and you want to trade equities and you want to learn some stuff about trading, I would head over to that trip. It's definitely worth every penny. I had to stay here and stream, and then also, like I said, I have family coming in, so couldn't make the trip this time. But next time, I do plan on trying to get out there and hanging out with Deck and the Tradecaster family at the Mastermind. Whenever we do decide to do one of those symposiums or whatever, I will also look to try and get out there and talk trading with everybody. If anybody's in the Houston area besides Sully and Kramer, maybe we'll look to get a meetup going. Trade in person. So now you can see the break happening. S&P is trying to tick up as well. This was just kind of obvious to me. It's just still not that setup that I want, right? I want everything to kind of play out exactly how we talked about it. You broke that high. You're going to get the continuation probably up into our zone. If you get a lack of follow through, then be mindful of the short, right? If I can get this thing to whip this and you get a much lower high, like I said, if we can wick here, a lower high, and Delta pops through, but you're not getting through there, that means that there's a larger seller sitting up there. And I'll take that short. There's a sitting order at 84.50. So 50 is not huge, but it is something.
tend to be well-known big regional banks, and they're category 3 and 2, I guess, but they have a different tailored level of regulation than category 4.
There's the push up. Delta trying its best to kind of creep up. You're not getting a huge follow through on it. Could this be the
There was tailoring on the way
point?
down, and then
If I get a really heavy tilt long, I'll mention it to you guys. I don't see it right now. It's at 67%.
We want to have, we want to have a diverse banking sector. That's a great benefit to our country and very unusual for an advanced economy. So it's something we want to preserve.
Yeah, I'm sure you know, Chairman Powell, just to put this on the record, I mean,
Like I said, I wanted to get up in through there, and have S&Ps be holding below their all-time highs. You are seeing Delta turning around a bit already. This 250 point does have a high volume node, so there is a chance that it just breaks there and continues down, but I don't necessarily like it yet. I'm going to keep adjusting this until I get it. It's probably, like I said, I would like to get it like into that range there, into the bodies. You could probably see this break and continue to break. You can adjust these as you go.
Requirements are, I mean, have you guys made a decision about where to set the threshold yet, and when do you expect to set that threshold?
We haven't made any final decisions. We put out for proposals some months ago, a new proposal, and we've gotten a lot of comments, as I'm sure you're aware. We're chewing through those.
Every day we're looking to improve our stream, improve what we're doing. Like I said, I updated from last week. I added the scrolling bars on the top and the bottom. I feel like it's a little bit more appealing. You get more information out of it consistently, and then it kind of keeps the delta area open, even if I have it all the way over and set. If I move my charts around a lot, so if that bothers you, just let me know. But really, I'm just doing my best here to every kind of day just improve a little bit, little improvements go a long way with the stream. I'm gonna probably update the scroll on top to a little bit better, but right now it's as good as I got, so we're gonna be mindful of it.
I can't get that specific at this point, but
Gonna watch delta. You can see it giving you higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. If you start to see price do different than delta, then that's when you start to get interested in the divergence, right? Price is now breaking above, did not break above here, so delta now trying to creep up, trying to push above.
Tester of Montana.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Brown. Thank you for
Like I said, I want this up to like 80-ish. I want it to be up in that area there. It has no bearing right now, so we're not having it up there. Price try to make new highs. Delta did tick above, so we do have the same kind of price action happening here. S&P is still holding below that 157.75, so that's good for us.
For Montana families, you follow all the numbers. From your perspective, where is the economy at?
I want to see this thing get up into here. I want to maybe like I said, a whippy price action, get above, maybe even get up into that 300. Like I said before, 300, 315. You get that big wick off top, and then that failure of this zone should give you the confirmation this time to sell off. If it holds above this zone and just continues to rally, we don't have an entry. We don't short it, right? But we're waiting for this zone to kind of act as our liquidity area. And if it doesn't, let's say we get above the high here, this high, and we push above, and delta also pushes above that area right there, right? And you get new buyers start to come in. I would be cautious. I would stand down for a minute and give it some time to try to make a decision, right? But with S&Ps holding below 5.157 and 3/4, we still are in okay shape for this thing to kind of give us that pullback that we really are looking for. I did mention also that while JPOW talks, it is going to be a grinding, slow bit of movement, especially because the algos are just kind of waiting for him to say something offhand that's not quite on script, but he does just pretty much stick to the script all day, every day. So I think you're just being patient, and it's just fine to be patient right now. It's also okay to just not take a trade on a day. If your setup doesn't tell you everything you need to know on a day where there's a potential for a new all-time high or a rip or whatever, if you're, let's say that your strategy calls to do different than what I'm doing right now, right? Your strategy says if you break this zone, take that long, then go for it. I mean, I'm not here to talk you in or out of a trade. I'm just here to explain to you what I'm thinking as the trade is setting up and what's going on, right? You see NVIDIA here trying to hold this little breakdown, but it just broke down a little bit. I can probably set that line a bit better. It's probably better there. Never quite made it down into that area. If you tuck it tight into the bodies of these candles and the body of that candle, really these are adaptable trend lines. As you get more information, you're going to get more use out of these lines. The more touches, the better. Obviously, if you get it down all the way into here, that's really the end of that wick. But if you tuck it tight to the body, you already broke it, right? So there's multiple areas that you could be like, all right, let's see that right there. So give me 1 second. I got to run real quick and then be right back.
How does the U.S. economy look today compared to our competitor nations, particularly China?
Well, I'll start with the advanced economies. We're doing the best in anybody. We've got the strongest growth and the lowest inflation of the advanced economies. China is a whole different story. China's having, significant difficulties with its economy right now, and they're in a very different place than certainly than we are.
And so, to repeat that, what I heard you say is that the economy of the United States is basically in better shape than any other economy in the world.
We're a major economy.
But,
All right, approaching that zone again. S&P's still holding below 5157. So if we do get that set up, let's watch it. These guys still talking over here. I'm gonna put this over on the other screen for a second.
how do these housing supplies issues show
This.
up in the data that the FOMC uses?
Watch these.
Housing prices.
Watch this area here.
To the data, housing starts and renovation
Ugh.
and things like that are just business activity, and
I'm gonna
then
move
that
that.
shows up. But when it comes to inflation, where we convert ownership into imputed rent, and then we look at rents. And so that's how we look at all that. So we're not directly affected by changes in housing prices, but over time those
The more touches, like I said, the better. So if you can get this tight into the bodies of these candles, you are starting to see that hold up some. NVIDIA giving you another pop, attempting to break the high. It's a couple pennies away from the high. So watch this here. And Microsoft flattened out its base. NVIDIA continuing its push. And Microsoft starting to curl some. Apple looking to break the low of the base. But potentially, like I said, if NVIDIA wicks this high, then potentially looking to get that last little push up for our entry, right? But I said 300 and then a failure down through here would be nice. But if we just get some strength pour in, then we're probably not going to be involved. But you can see Delta flushed here, gave a good flush on that. Price trying to attempt to go back up. Delta not quite making a new high. So the setup may come in sooner rather than later. You may not actually get the full wick off high, but you can see, right? You can see this pretty much
But I did appreciate
playing out here, right? You can see that
Senator to Senator Scott when he asked about immigration. He said
there.
sign it.
Price trying to make new highs. Delta not even coming close to the new high in the buyers. If we start to see a really hard push above here, then maybe that comes into play. But I want to get this one more push up before I decide to short it.
We should stick to our knitting.
Trying to be as patient as possible. If you want to try and start scaling in, if you're smaller size and you want to scale in, that next touch of this zone, right, this area here is interesting based on the Delta, based on Microsoft selling off, based on NVIDIA lacking that follow through on the break of the high. A break down below 916.80-ish for NVIDIA probably gets this thing to pull back some. Then that'll give our market the believing short. There we go. It's starting to sell some. NVIDIA starting to pull back some too. Delta pushing down nice. Let's see. It's too much risk. I should have probably got in on one, but I'm going to be one more leg up for me. One more leg up for me is going to be
stress scenarios.
the convincing push.
Planning scenarios, so that the banks are already doing this. The large banks who are subject to this, they're already doing it.
Unless you go with this one here. Nah, right there.
So we said we'd do that, and we also said that we'd offer guidance.
Delta pushing down, price pushing down, Delta kind of creeping in.
Just on
So I want to short it through here,
to assess.
potentially
And that's
risking to the high. I want to give it one more leg up.
We're not doing it.
Nvidia's still trying to hold. It's like it's giving you that last little hurrah here of can I hold, can I hold, can I hold. I want to give it one more push, one more pop, a wiki liquidity grab. Say, all right, break this high here, grab that liquidity into there, and then we'll start to look for that short. That's really what I want to see.
And that's central bank digital currency. I think from a lot of my friends.
Let's do that. We'll put that there because I don't really care too much on Microsoft. Microsoft is ticking up a little bit.
What is meant by the administration's, having issued to continue researching, experimenting, looking at some sort of a, central bank digital currency. I think people back home look at that and go, oh my gosh, they're going to.
The value area high also is 275, right? So that's what you want to see if it'll hold.
What people think of in terms of a Bitcoin or their held digital currency.
S&P is holding below 51.75, 75, 51.57 and 3/4.
Still should be about the dollar, not about some different kind of currency.
Wait for your confirmation.
People back home better understand.
Patience will pay off dividends if you can just be patient for a few more minutes. 10:30 is that European close, is like totally, completely. So you could get some better action then. This delta is starting to flatten out. If you get a low base break of the delta, then you may get the selling to come in before we get above the high. I want to get rid of this, but you can see it kind of coming into play.
People could then transfer among themselves. Now,
I want to give that.
That raises a concern that if that were a government account, if the government would see all your transactions, then that's just something we would not stand for or do or propose here in the United States.
NVIDIA breaking down.
How it works in China, for example. But that's not what we're doing. So if we were to ever to do something like this, and we're a very long way from thinking about it, we would do this through the banking system. The last thing we would want
Price just flattening.
accounts for all Americans or any Americans for that matter. Only banks have accounts there. And that's the way we're going to keep it. So
6 seconds. If this closes below here, then watch the next candle.
following technology
There, it's pushing down now. Nice.
in a way that serves the public.
Give it one more pop up.
People don't need to worry about it.
Nope. Might not have got it. Might have missed it. I'm going to wait. I'm still waiting on this. I'm being a little patient on the manipulation. Yeah, just so many questions. It's all the same bullshit every single day. I think it's just that jawboning is just going to make these moves just a bit slower than I really want them to be. But also, it'll allow me to get that full setup. I hope if we can get that full wick of the high. I want that one more liquidity grab above this high here at 280-ish. If not, I'm going to just look to go. Yeah, yesterday I took one or two like break evens early before he started talking. Then I didn't take any more trades really until right after he was finished, and that's when I made my money. So I'm potentially considering not taking this short right here, purely based on the way price has been acting on what he's doing. I'm watching the S&Ps holding below 51.57, so I'm more convinced that the short will come in because that all-time high got tagged and then just faded, and we haven't really got any more follow-through on it. But I think that's just purely based on him just yapping. I think the more he talks, the more we're just not going to go anywhere, or at least give you the follow-through on the moves that you want to see. I do want to see, like I said, I play this delta divergence, right? Price is pushing higher, trying its best to hold itself up, but the sellers are saying, no, I'm going to keep selling. I'm going to push in here. No new bid buying is going on. So if there's a large seller up here or a large buyer down below, we're going to be able to see it a little bit better. I appreciate you wearing that shirt yesterday and telling everybody about the coffee company over on your stream. We're creeping our stream up. I think Deck being away definitely helps us out here, but we're going to try and retain some of these beautiful viewers that come and join us on an everyday basis. Like I said, I appreciate you, AK, for stopping by always. Absolutely. Hell yeah. Once you, if you could figure out how to work that out, I got to step up my dual stream game for sure. Because I think we do have a lot of similar thought processes on everything. I don't like this. This trend line is bullshit. This is more like it. That's better. I think we have a lot of the same ideas. I think, especially me trading only the NASDAQ, and just watching the futures and giving you kind of a good idea on everything. Big guy over there, AK, is the king at trading everything from small micro caps to large caps and everything in between. He's playing his his trades on a day-to-day basis, making everybody look like fools because he's a fucking G over there. And we're going to look to kind of capitalize on that. And I think dual streaming definitely could be useful because just my thoughts on certain things kind of could maybe give you confluence in some of the things that he's doing. And if we can get some confluence going in the same direction, then that gives me a lot more confidence in taking my trades in my direction, or you taking your trades and yours, or anybody making the analysis that they want to make their own trades, right? Like I said, if you want to fade me and think that, hey, a break of this high gives you that continuation, that's great. All I want to do is give you the ideas around the levels of what I'm looking at and what that tells me. And then if it tells you something different, then let it tell you something different. But for me, right now, I'm getting that delta divergence that I wanted to see. I want to see this thing push up into here, fail, price not make new highs. I mean, price make new highs and delta not make new highs, right? We're still diminishing on the delta. So now if I get another break of this, I'll be more confident to take that short. And if it fails, then I'll be more happy. But really, I would love to see this thing push up above this zone and not come close to here. And then once it fails the zone, that's really where I'm at as far as the short's concerned. But you can see Microsoft did tick up some. NVIDIA wicked the bottom a bit, and now it's looking to rotate up about some there as well. But we are kind of, that's still holding that there. The more you get more price information, the more you can adjust. These things are fluid, right? Price is fluid. It's every minute, every second, it's changing. Don't be married to trend lines. Don't be married to things, but use your information to the best of your ability and then go from there. So right now, I don't care for that. It's not necessary. Just be mindful of breakouts from certain zones. Watch your price action because NVIDIA breaks here. It kind of invalidates what I'm doing, because if NVIDIA breaks, it's going to carry this with it. Microsoft is forming a bull flag above that 406.18. 406.18 is that level for me that has just been played to a T for the last like 2 or 3 weeks, or even longer than that. So if it holds above 406.18, bullish on Microsoft. Same with NVIDIA. Anything over what I don't think NVIDIA pulls back very much in any sense of the way, unless the market takes a dump here, then it might just follow down. I think it'll hold that 906 level for sure, but if not, then the markets will break, and we do get that breakdown side. But like I said, Microsoft bullish above 406. Anything breaking below 406 could be a short. I think now we got that delta divergence. You failed that high, making newer lows, tried to make new highs on price. A break of this trend line could take us down into here. Any sort of continuation, I'm going to have to be watching to see if it will do what we expect, or if it's not going to do it, then we're going to, you're going to probably get a bounce from here. As long as JPOW is kind of talking, you're not going to get any sort of big follow through. So we are not in a trade. We do have this entry here below this trend line here where we were kind of catching some liquidity. But if this delta starts to break this downtrend and push up into those highs, then you may have some confidence in this breaking out and holding. But I think if we do get up into that above this zone, 290, 300, up even into 313, my short idea is still valid up until that 313 area. I want to see it fail on a hard wick, and then delta just not play along. We're already getting that, right? We broke this high. We didn't come close to the delta high, but we did get a pop in delta, right? Above the diminishing area. So it's not quite in the area where I'm looking to get short yet, because it's still considering that it wants to go and follow through to the high side. Especially, like I said, with this name here, NVIDIA just broke out again. Microsoft broke out of that trend line. If you are playing those equities, just be cautious on that. But if S&P's breaks that 517.75, I'm taking this sell order off, and I'm gonna just stand back for a bit, right? And then I'm gonna let you guys make the choice on if you want to take the long through up and through 300 or not, but I'm still good on this short if it does break down from here, because that is the kind of idea I want to get, right? We got a increasing higher high over here and a lower high in delta. Well, now we're creating a new higher high as we break these areas. So that tells me that buyers want to step in here. They want to kind of come in and continue this push to the upside. So it takes away my setup, right? It's a good thing. What's up, Spy Proby? Good day, yeah. 0 trades. Any day where you're even or green is a good day, right? I guess the ability to analyze levels and stay out of the market when Mr. Jerome Powell's chit-chatting is a good day, because I'm happy that I'm able to stick to my plans a bit. If you play breakout trades here on NVIDIA and Microsoft, you're looking pretty good. If markets can hold above here, then you might get that follow through. If not, if I can get my trade to work out, then these two names will probably fail. But I don't think they'll fail very far. I don't think they're going to go to low of day. I think 906 holds in NVIDIA, and I think anything over 406.18 is still bullish on Microsoft. But I do feel like if the S&Ps is not going to get above 5.1, 5.7 and fail, then we should rotate down. I think we could see a reversal still potentially right this second, but it needs to tell me a little bit more, right? We got into the delta here, failing to break out above here, and we got new highs in price, but no new highs in delta, right? The high in delta here was right there and right there. It was confluent. Now we need to see if this is going to hold above here. You're going to want to see delta trying to creep up back up into that area, because that means new buyers are coming in. If you see new sellers starting to pour in up into this area, then you may get that turnaround. I think with the S&Ps making new all-time highs and not following through gives you the indication that maybe the NASDAQ wants to follow suit and kind of roll over. But we are starting to tick up in the NQs, right? The S&Ps. You can see it right here. I'll zoom in some. This 157.75 was that previous all-time high. We wicked it. Now the all-time high is up here. If we get above 157, this is going to continue on upside. I think 300 cracks, and then you can take a long if you really want. But I'm not taking a long. I'm not the breakout type guy. I'm looking for a failure of extremes, and if I can get the turnaround in any of these names, if NVIDIA fails to break out and hold 920, if it can get below 920, Microsoft is holding below the breakout point of the high, 408.24.25. We could get the rollover to happen through this trend line here, and I may move that entry to below this candle, right there, right below that area.
That's an issue. We're in our FOMC meeting in a couple of weeks. We're going to have our first really deep dive on what to do with the balance sheet. That's one of the issues. I don't think we'll deal with that at this meeting, but over time, you'd love
holding that high. Microsoft looking to tick above it. Probably does hold.
the maturity goods.
If anything, like I said, up into 313 is like where I want to see that wick go and then come back and then just fail. That's really like my ideal setup for this short. If we don't get that wick, that failure, then you probably get the continuation the rest of the day. It's just been straight up since 2:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, really. 2 a.m. all the way up until now, we've been basically just nonstop green. If I would have been trading at 2 a.m., you probably could have seen that coming, but I am sleeping at that time, especially this morning. I had to get up early, take my son to a Dads and Donuts day, but that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think I appreciate Spy Proby coming in every single day, always dropping a line, always checking in. It's always a pleasure having somebody who's consistently here on a daily basis. Obviously, AK, the man, the legend, hell yeah. That's exactly what I wore. How did you know that's what I wore there? All right, I'm getting that turn down. S&P's failed to try to make the new high. I have my entry in. If we get in and we get wicked out, so be it. But this is where I want to see the break happen. He's just jawboning, talking shit. Didn't get triggered, waiting, possibly could get triggered here, looking to see if it'll happen. If it does, we're in, and we're short now from 268 and a quarter. If it breaks now and goes, then we should be confirmed on our breakdown. You can see Delta getting in here, getting heavy. We should be safe on this short to rotate down. If not, if it doesn't continue to rotate down, I really want to just give it the full risk here. If it doesn't, then we're out and we're trapped. But so be it. I'm giving it the shot here. If it goes, it goes. If not, so be it. That's just on me. I was being very, very patient, waiting for this setup to come into play. It did. We got that rotate. Oh, it's still in the S&P. My bad. Thank you. There's that short that I'm involved in. We have our stop up safely above the value area high. If it does want to stay short, I want to watch it down into this zone. Hopefully we can get there pretty quickly and I can just mitigate my my stop to break even. But we're kind of holding this area. This is really my important zone. It needs to go now or not go at all. Delta is pushing down hard. Price is trying to hold up here. NVIDIA rotated down. You can see NVIDIA rotated down some. It's trying to get to the breakout point again. If it's a retest, then so, you know, I think this is where I get it. If it does just grab my liquidity and run to the high side, I'm okay with that because I waited for this to happen exactly how it happened. I talked it through with everybody here. So if it doesn't go here, you know, that's just the confluence that I was looking for to get this thing to roll. Like I said, accept the risk, take your shot, and if it doesn't go, it doesn't go. Trades sometimes don't happen when your setups happen, but it looks like it wants to do a little bit of a bounce here based on these wicks. I kind of don't like the wicks. I want this price to go right away usually, but I let my risk, my stop do its thing. And if we can flush this low, then we can get, I may even get a second contract on lower if I can get this thing to follow through with some force. Just being patient. I don't want to update my position board yet. Yeah, we'll update this. Be short. Short. Short one NQ at 18.26825. That's my short. It's just not breaking yet. Break, baby, break. Break, there we go. Come on. Flush it down now. Give me that flush down the toilet. Give it to me. This is my liquidity zone, and I'm sticking to it. Come on. Break now. If you don't want to break now, then go to sleep. Look at this delta. Look at that confluence pushing to the downside. It just wants to go, but maybe there's a big buyer here holding this up. That's my issue with that wick. Come on down. Come on down. I want to get down into here, and if I can get into that area, I want to see if it'll break that zone. S&P's rejected its all-time high with ease, so I'm guessing that we should follow the S&Ps some. I'm waiting to see if the NQ, I mean, if NVIDIA is going to hold or if it's going to break down some more. I said below 20, 920 is that breakout point.
We have taken and are taking many more.
Microsoft is breaking highs here, so I might want to get out just to hammer this out of break even. It didn't go when I wanted to go. I'm going to just put my stop in tighter. No, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. Do I talk myself out because Microsoft's breaking, or do I leave it in and let it go based on price action?
They're a longer run thing, and I would just say that
I'm going to let it go based on price action, and that'll be the one trade that we take right now.
Read the comments. My view is that it will be appropriate to make material and broad changes to that before we finalize it. And in terms of, I didn't
Value area nodes here, 75.
Material and broad changes, and we're talking about what that'll mean in the end. I did not say that we.
You see Delta creeping down again, harder, trying to push. Not going to move it, waiting on the stop.
But that if that turns
NQ, NVIDIA, break to the downside. Why don't you break to the downside and take us with you? This is very supportive, but if it cracks, if this breaks, then you get probably a really good follow through on that.
If you read it again, it's on your website.
If this buyer disappears here at 68.25, basically our entry point, if he disappears, watch this break hard. Watch it break hard. Give it to me. Give it to me. Come Come on, break that low. There we go. Come on now. That's a good wick.
Valley Bank.
Give it to me.
The Vice Chair for Supervision.
Give me that short. I'm at break even. If it fails this, it fails it. If not,
Clear in our policy.
we're at least at break even. So it's a free trade for me. I don't necessarily trust that it doesn't want to wick me out and run up. There we go. We're out flat 15. If that follows through now, then I'm okay with it. But it's just very whippy. Still with the JPOW talking, not getting that great follow through on a delta push to the downside. See, with that kind of delta, I would expect this thing to go and go quick. It didn't. We got stopped at break even. It's okay if it kind of goes now. I'd rather be flat. I wanted to get flat up here. I was good. I left my stop. I could have left my stop here and been okay, but I just don't quite trust it right this second. It didn't give me the hard flush that I wanted. You got Nvidia wicking this bottom and possibly looking to rotate up. So just I just don't like the wicks, to be honest with you. So for me to be out and flat on that, I'm actually happy. If it rolls over now, so be it. You know what I mean? But it's not ready yet. It's definitely not ready yet. So I'm going to be waiting.
Last time I checked, it's gonna get a little more political in here between now.
Going to take that P&L to flat. I'm going to give my position board, I'm going to leave it as even. You can make your own discernment. We are green on the day of $15. So, yes, that's a big $15 day. Yeah, the buyers are holding this up. Nvidia's holding this up. Microsoft's holding this up. I really may not be convinced with my short until we do push down below these levels with Nvidia and Microsoft. This when you get Delta pushing this hard down and price giving you wicks like this, there's a larger buyer here that is not going to give up, right? That's really what this is telling you. So I'll leave it. I mean, I don't have a text box. Is there a text thing on here? Text?
It would mandate regional banks issue new.
I'll give it a line right here. This is, let's see if there's able to add text to here. No. I'm going to just draw that arrow there to just give me a reminder saying that there is some big buyers sitting right here. You can also see the volume node here at 70. I figured, hey, if this cracks and goes, the bubble map, that's also part of Quant Tower. So if you have Quant Tower, the dome surface, this thing here gives you a really good information on resting orders that were filled. So these bubbles here are filled orders, and you can see the bigger the bubble, the more size. This big bubble here is 25, a sell of 25. This bubble here is a 13 buy. So the bigger the bubble, the bigger the fill. Up until a certain point, then it doesn't get any more big. But you can see these are kind of like 5 or 6 orders. Then you can see resting orders. Up in here, you have a big sell guy at 300, 150 lot at 300. So I did mention I want to see price get up into that 300 level, like a nice wick. So maybe this next time that we try to go through here, we wick up to this guy who is sitting here at 300 and he fails. And once he gets filled or people front run him, right? You can see it here, 300, just sitting there. 155 has not been moved. It might be spoofed. It might be looking to get people to draw up to 300 just so you can pull it and then run it higher. So that's what we're going to be cautious on. Very happy that we got out of that at break even. We drew this arrow here to just show that based on the way we were wicking, this wick, it either needed to follow through immediately down into at least to that 250 area, right? For this to be a really a confirmed move. The NASDAQ, you really have to, if you're trading NASDAQ, you have to build a relationship with it, because I could tell that didn't want to follow through just purely based on the way it didn't give you that big pop, right? Delta pushed down through lows. We made new lows in Delta. Price should have been closer to this area here, or even at least to here, but it didn't. You got good wicks prior. You kind of pushed up. I said I wanted to put my stop down here. I let it do its thing. I didn't want to get too close too quick. Once I broke this area for that 4th time and you didn't get that full follow through, if you get stopped out at break even, it's good, because you're probably going to rotate back through highs and get stopped out anyway. So just cut your loss. I'll consider that a loss. It's a break even, covered my fees. So really I'm up like $10 after fees. So just being mindful of the personality of the instrument that you're trading is very, very important, right? So you can see S&Ps also push down.
I'll say what other Fed chairs have said.
Grab that liquidity at that 48.50, and now it's pushing right back up, trying to make new highs on its all-time high there, that 157, that previous all-time high. If it can get above there, then this continues on. I'm going to be mindful of that. I'm going to watch this. Oh, see. I don't know what this drawing is. This one. Now I draw the arrow up here. I'll give you this one there. We're watching that area, and we watch this. Like I mentioned, I was not really looking to execute anything during while he was talking, and I pretty much confirmed that one trade we took. It was a break even, so we're flat. We're basically 0 for 0. We took that one shot at it, gave it its chance, didn't go. So now we're just waiting to see what happens from here. I will move that to there.
That is a great question.
Give myself some more data to use. Maybe these are more important down here as well. This might still be relevant, so I'm going to use that to my advantage. Tuck it into there. Trying to make new highs in price. Delta obviously not following through. Gonna delete that little line there. Delta staying kind of within that range. Price staying just grinding ever so higher. Not convinced on the short anymore. Yeah, I mean, really, I'm not trying to. At this point, I'm not trying to force it. There's no need to revenge in. There's no need to try and hammer in here at this high. Just trying to show you the only reason I took so that's the price action I wanted to see there. That little whip action and then a complete failure right afterwards. That would be a, if it gets through here now, then that might be a convincing thing. But for real, as far as this was concerned, I had to take it just purely based on exactly what I talked out happened, right? I talked out we wanted to see price get into this liquidity zone based on prior price action. Price needed to be on the S&Ps. It needed to be lower, right? I'm going to delete this. Price on the S&Ps needed to be below its all-time highs. That was a check on the box. We got into our liquidity zone. That checked another box. We got a new high, like I wanted to kind of flush out some longs, maybe get some longs involved, but didn't get really whippy action. That was like a half of a check, but it's still a check. Then we broke through the little trend line that I had. That was another check. And then also Delta made lower highs. So we did push up. Delta did push up into here. You started to make lower highs. High on the Delta there, high on the price there. Price made new highs. Delta did not. So you are getting a diminishing Delta, which means less and less buyers coming in at the highs. And then you get the failure of that level. So I had all the boxes checked. You have to take that trade just in case it does follow through. You get that follow through, but also understand that you need to know your time frame, your time horizon. I'm going to time stop this. Is it not following through right away? Cut it, right? If it doesn't go when it's supposed to, cut it. There's no reason for it to be held for an unnecessary amount of time. So you can let it do what it just did. Get in. Oh, be hopeful. It's going to come back. It's going to come back. It's going to come back. And then it just goes and goes and goes and goes. And your account is hurting, right? That's not what you want. You want to see what happens at these levels. Make your educated choices. And then see maybe JPOW stops talking. And you get, you get everybody thinking, okay, now it's over. Let's sell it off. But right now we're not. NVIDIA doing a little bit of encouraging for my short behaviors here. That original breakout came down, retested it, tried to bounce off of it, failed that bounce. If you break the lows of 915, let's see, if you break these lows and hold, then maybe that gets that sell coming in, and then maybe the price comes in here. Microsoft is stronger at the moment. Yeah, JP, he's gonna talk it up all the way to 300. He's like, we're not at 300 yet. We're not at 300 yet. I have a sitting order there, selling at 300, and then as soon as it gets there, he's gonna be like, we're gonna raise rates and markets are gonna go down. That's really what he's doing. It's funny. That's great. I love it. Let me check on the text, see what the messages are.
Mortgage rates were averaging around 7% last month. That's tough for lower income home buyers. Increases of just a percent.
Are you on stream now, Ray?
Between owning a home or not. Concerned
If you're on the stream, I'll kind of walk you through it, right?
lower demand, yet stubbornly high prices.
Fed Chair Powell says interest rate cuts won't start until
What do
inflation,
you think is driving these?
I'm listening, approaches
The
this
housing market is
level.
in a very challenging
2% every time.
This longer run housing shortage, but at the same time, you've got a bunch of things that have to do with the pandemic and the inflation and our response with higher rates. So you have a shortage of homes available for sale because many people are living in homes with a very low rate mortgage.
Okay, starting to get that turn down now again.
Moving.
That 300 order
Regular existing homes that are for sale is destroyed.
still there.
Low transaction.
Just hasn't gone away.
Pushes up prices of other existing homes and also of new homes because
It's
it's
180 now.
the builders are busy, but they're running into all kinds of supply issues still around.
184. Nobody's really front running it right now. There's that big
has definitely changed and improved the way we work.
JPOW
Having
advertisement. So there you go. There's a push. Maybe we get that push down now. Let's see what's going on with. There we go. Trying to break through here. Can we get the push, the flush of this area here? I'll take that short if it does want to do that and give it to me. But if it doesn't, if it holds, I gotta flatten that out. Sometimes it just gets mad.
There's no question of the supply
If it
issue and
if it holds, then we'll get knocked out.
high
But
prices, lack of supply, of course, disproportionate.
nope, it rejected it. And Nvidia rejected the level. Microsoft's starting to turn though.
Policy report, the employment rate for the black, prime age labor force, that is persons between 25 and 54 years of age, reached a historical peak in 2023. The gap between black. and
That's where I want my flush to happen.
dropped
If it happens,
to a low at around
then we will be involved. But it might still just bounce again.
still significant.
47, so we still have a few minutes before we don't trade
To continue focusing on
the hourly close.
And if so, what tools does the Federal Reserve have to do this work?
It's very important, and the single best thing we can do is get prices under control, get inflation under control, so that we can have a long expansion with, the record is clear that long expansion really gives significant benefits.
Another failed wick, failed wick, failed wick.
And at the income spectrum, because the labor market gets very tight. Inflation
like
is
it
low,
tighter in
they benefit
there.
more than anybody, so that's where we were before the pandemic, and we'd like to.
If it's gonna hold, it's gonna hold.
Thank you so very much.
If it's gonna break, I would like to be involved. Let's see, you can see diminishing delta. Every time it gets a chance to start to sell, you see new sellers start to pour in. So the buyers are still holding it up, but once the buyers sort of give up, I think the hard sell does come in, and then you really don't look back at it when that starts to happen, right? It just, but like I said, Nvidia is still the powerhouse of the sell. Nvidia is the powerhouse of the sell.
There's been some chatter lately on the social.
Yeah, I think if it does crack, I want to be involved for sure, and that's kind of why I just have my orders sitting there. It would be interesting to have it up here, because you do see that wick off high, rotate down to the trend line, try to break the trend line, but you do see Nvidia still holding up. Microsoft still, doing its best to try and play the game, and it is still bullish above 406.18. So, I did mention that earlier.
So the question is this.
If I see like a hard break on Nvidia and price is still up here, I may even move my entry to below this area. But you could kind of see that that's more of the support is right there at 75. So I wouldn't want to get wicked in at 75 and then pumped. Pretty much if it hits this low here, it should give you, with this wick here, it should give you that follow through down through the bottom end. Once again, S&Ps are holding below that 157 area. So it does give you the confluence that I'm looking for to think that price is looking to turn around at this point. And if you get a breakout above here, then it may just rip. So I would be cautious. I think if Nvidia gets above 918, yeah, 918 even probably, then this probably gives you a big buyer come in, and then this buy likely continues up. You're getting rising lows, higher low, higher low, higher low, equal high. A breakout of that high means that seller kind of gave up. But like I said, that 300 guy is still sitting there.
Actually, we do. Our statutory target is inflation. It's not core inflation. So if you look at headline inflation over the last 12 months, that's it. That's our goal. It's 2.4%. Core inflation is actually higher than that. It's 2.8%. And the reason is that some energy and food prices have come down, and those don't.
Well, if this doesn't happen within the next 4 minutes, we're not taking a trade for the rest of the stream. I really hope that everybody got some value out of this stream today. I know I executed on one and broke even, trying to shoot my shot at the setup that I wanted to happen. You didn't get the follow through. It is what it is. I'd rather be break even and not trying to hammer in and hammer in and hammer in. If it does go, it goes. We do have a resting order down at our original entry, so if it does want to sell off, we could get involved. But realistically, it just seems like it's a grinding type day, still pushing upside. It's been every 30-minute candle except for two, which were pretty much inside bars that closed higher than the previous open, have been straight upside since 2 a.m. So there hasn't been a 30-minute close below the previous candle since 2 a.m. So that's something to watch. S&P's ticking up a little. Got a couple long tails down to 48.50. If this 30-minute candle closes up over that previous 30-minute candle for the body of that 30-minute candle, then this probably continues on upside. Max pain type day for anybody who's trying to just hammer shorts. The ability to remain patient saves you so much money, and I believe that we did a really good job today of staying patient. Like I said, I didn't execute anything until what time is that? Didn't execute anything until 10:30, and even then I got out pretty much right away because the movements just didn't follow through. I do feel like this is diminishing highs, less sellers, but there's nobody buying, new buyer here. So if this breaks and you see a buy, then you might see it start to pour in above it. But anybody that's like right here is not looking to buy, and you're wedging out really tight here. So you could, limit your risk to the high. If it does whip off the high, every time it gets up there, you could limit it a little bit. This is just if you're really aggressive, but I do think you got to be cautious of a break to the high side. We have basically a minute 30 before I can't take a trade until the close, right? So another great day on stream. I think I did provide a good amount of value for certain things. We were able to educate you on a lot of different types of reasons for setups, why price was drawn to this zone and why it's staying here. There's a reason why it's here, and we talked about that. We talked about that zone being up into probably 313, even if it wanted to get to that area. I just think that this wick here made a new high, failed it, tried to make it, didn't make it. Microsoft's starting to creep down. Nvidia's holding below that 918. If it starts to creep down, starts to break down through that 915, 915.80, 916, if it holds below there, then you're going to look to see this thing start to try and roll. So maybe later on post-stream, I'll have an opportunity. But for the time being, it seems like for one more minute, I have the opportunity to get into this short. If it does dump off and trigger me in, then I'll be in. But for the most part, I don't like to be involved in a new entry within 5 minutes of an hourly candle. I want to see that hourly candle do something in that last 5 minutes that's going to really convince me on if it's going to close bullish, if it's going to close bearish, or if the 30-minute candle is going to confirm anything that I don't want. So there's that. We're 5 minutes to it, so we're going to flatten all the orders. We're going to cancel it. Let's watch the next 5 minutes, see if we get a manipulative candle, see if this trend line holds, see if it cracks, see what kind of confirmations we can gather from the information that we're getting. But you can see that this is just purely holding this uptrend. I mentioned yesterday is going to be a grind of an upside move till we got to here. What happened when we were down here? We were talking about how there's no real moves except for this one pre-talk. This happened pre-talk, and then right as the talk started, we flattened out and price slowed down, and all the candles became grinding. We were up and down, like no real good entries except for maybe if you take the breakout here because our target was there. That was a good idea if you were playing our levels. I did mention it. I didn't say take a long or short. I just told you this is an interesting level. Let's mark it up. We'll talk about it if it gets up into that range. We did get up into that range. We pulled right back in to this important level. Apparently it became more important than I anticipated. If you were that original, hey, when we get to that zone, I'm going to short it. You did make some money on it. You know, one mini contract that's $700 right there. That move, so that's a pretty good move. I didn't take it because I wasn't convinced on the way it broke down. I expected whatever is happening right now to happen, so it did. We're grinding upside. S&P's is now pushing up over that all-time high once again. Not new all-time highs on the day, but the previous all-time high at 157. So you're seeing that continue to grind, that continuous move to the upside. If you want to see this little wedge pattern kind of break, bet you that this breaks and gives you a little bit of a whippy action. There was a little bit of a wick above. If you get a nice little break and a hold. It's amazing that you can watch this chart, not see this one, and really go back to it knowing what this is doing to understand what this is probably doing as well, right? So the more you watch this stream, the more you probably, I want to really hammer in that there are a lot of confluences out there, and you have to find out if there's disconnect on the day or connection to certain price action. And it seems like NVIDIA right now is being the driver, right? NVIDIA, Microsoft, I bet you if Apple is breaking down, right? It broke down. It's back in that little range that we were talking about in the very beginning of the day. I said Apple likely stays within this 169, 170 range down to 169 up to 170. It's going to just stay here probably all day. There's no new information for it. If price convincingly breaks out up into all-time highs, maybe you get Apple to break above 170 and maybe hold. Probably likely that you reject any failure of the all-time high brings Apple to another leg lower. If that's something that you're interested in trading, just be mindful of that. If a break below 168.70 and break below that level there on any sort of push downside, like if we get the move that I wanted to get to push downside, then Apple can continue down. I think otherwise Apple just kind of remains within that $169 to $170 range. NVIDIA made that new high. Now it's not quite making new highs. I'm going to get rid of that trend line because it's not really important. But you could see possible head and shoulders type deal forming. So if it does come back down to 915.80 again, watch it. It may break. It may break hard just purely based on that pattern formation. If not, if it continues on upside, then you're just going to continue to rally. Microsoft is a little bit stronger in the terms of that it made new highs. Now it's trying to attempt to make back through here. It's a little bit similar, but it's slightly more in an uptrend, and NVIDIA is starting to become sideways. All right, 11:59. Once again, I'm very happy that everybody came along for today's ride. We did improve our viewership once again. Like I said, if tomorrow or next week we get up to 50 viewers in a day, we will give away something, probably coffee related, from the Day Trading Coffee Co., fueling your trading adventure and increasing your P&Ls, right? Include us in your trading plan. Starting your day off with a little short squeeze espresso could give you that extra little push in order to get your P&Ls up on the day. Or it may make you just sit here and watch because I have my espresso, I have my coffee, and I didn't enter anything until 10:30 and broke even. But it kept me out of a lot of the chop. If there's nothing doing right now, I will cut the stream. I just kind of want to see what happens for like the next 2 minutes. and then I'm gonna cut the stream off. I appreciate everybody, like I said, stopping by. Make sure to share this, like the stream in Tradecaster, give it a little 5-star review. If you didn't subscribe, subscribe. You know, you don't have to come in every day. As long as you subscribe, get notified when I'm in here. If you're on YouTube, hit the like, hit subscribe, the notifications when I start to go live. If you only watch on YouTube, click over to that link in the chat. It's to tradecast.com. 7-day free trial. Afterwards, the only thing you lose are the paid streamers and some of the education. You'll still be able to come into my lobby, get all the information. I like to communicate within Tradecaster because the chat is pretty easy to use. I don't have to, I get the little notifications. YouTube's not as user-friendly for me. I mean, it is, but I'd have to be watching. I got to watch the stream and I'm watching price action. I'm trying to talk through things. So getting alerts from Tradecaster kind of helps me, get that little bit of a ding going. You are still not making new highs in Delta. You're still getting that diminishing Delta. You got that wick off up to 310, which was interesting to me. Seems like maybe that seller, like I said, probably spoofed and is no longer there, right? He's gone. I don't think he got filled. I don't have my time in sales up, so that's not going to be able to be shown. I'm going to give it 5 till 11:05, and then I'll shut the stream. Like I said, I appreciate everybody coming by. A break-even day is a good day. We could have took those trades very, very early in the day. I did mention this breakdown of the opening range low. Just didn't trust that break. It was good. It worked out. Could have trailed it kind of quick and then just been up. And then, if you took that long off of me talking about how it wasn't very convincing of a breakdown, and for X, Y, and Z, why I said it, a lot of confluences above VWAP, just the divergence between NVIDIA, Microsoft, and all those names and pushing upside. So could look to see if this will break down right here, right now. And if it does, then maybe we do get our follow through this time. We got to watch that crack of 916 head and shoulders breakdown. I will look to get short here. I'm going to stay on just to see if I can get filled on this. I don't want to miss it if it does come in. And I want to see it crack this low. This here would be a good idea for an entry right there. Set it into there. Stop loss above the first swing high break. NVIDIA has the ability to just completely break the market. Lower high in Microsoft. If we can break this low, I anticipate this market to kind of crack a little bit. So let's stay on the stream for a few more minutes, see if this will give us that opportunity that we're looking for. Otherwise, if we continue on and kind of hold above that 300 level, I may just look to shut it down for the day. The reason I have my entry below down here, first off, if it holds this trend line, we're going to, if we get involved at our level, it just comes in here, bounces and runs. There's a high volume node here at 85, which means price has spent a ton of time here. There's a really good chance, not yet, because the point of control is all the way down here. We have a chance that if the price stays up here long enough, the point of control will flip to up here, but it's kind of just creeping up. That 300 level, obviously holding. Yeah, it gives you one more bounce there.
So I don't want to put you on the spot, but would those kind of tax cuts, would that help?
Holding 300, holding 300, holding 300.
Inflame inflation.
If I get nothing in the next couple minutes, that's like I said, S&P's is trying to pop its head above 57, but it's rejecting it. So I think if we get that full rejection of that 57, then our NQ follows through. If NVIDIA follows through, you get all those confluences going for you at the same time. Then you hope that this wedge breaks to the downside and you have that just big follow through where you really don't have to look back at it, and you can capitalize on a nice big winner. And I think if we do get filled on that, we want to get filled on a 2 guy, because I think a flush of that high volume node there gives us another another entry.
Just wanna thank you for your service.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Senator Fetterman. That's the last question. Thanks for your generosity in yielding to colleagues who got here before, who got here before. I said that right. Thank you, Chair Powell, for joining us today. Every 6 months and sometimes more often, I look forward to working with you. Continuing to work with you to strengthen our economy. Senators who wish to submit questions for the hearing record are due 1 week from today, March 14th. To Chair Powell, please submit response to those questions for the record no more than 45 days from the day you receive them. Thank you again for your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, he's done. JPOW's done. Now we can see if we can get some moves happening. All right, now that Jerome's gone, I'll give this stream till 11:15. If we're gonna reject this high right here, right now, I want to get involved. But if not, if it's gonna continue to hold 300 and rip, JPOW didn't say anything that the market didn't like. So with S&Ps trying to make new all-time highs once again, holding above or right at that 57 and 3/4. If it holds and breaks above it, I think NQ probably just continues on to all-time highs today. If not, if we can get NVIDIA to finally break through this 915, 916 level right there, then maybe we get the breakdown that we are looking for. Microsoft looking to try and maybe break that. Do I limit my risk at the very, very high? Just take one shot at it here? I may. If I do, I may. Oh, we got Delta creeping up. Delta's creeping up. Delta's creeping up. Delta's creeping up. Looking to try and break above. All right, let's see. I'm going to move this to right here so you can see it side by side. If NVIDIA cracks, this cracks. But you see Delta creeping up, price not really moving up higher, right? Delta broke that flat top and price is trying to reject it, trying to reject that 300. If 300 doesn't get you a big pop or a big flush, then I think a break above here gives you a nice little rally because, you know, if there's not a ton of movement right here, I mean, it's going to become the point of control, I would assume, at some point today. Unless the point of control gets left at the bottom, which would be interesting to me. There's a lot of buyers trying to come in at 300, but there's not a ton of follow through. So it means there may be a seller just above, just trying to get filled, trying to get filled, trying to get filled. Sell 300? No. He stopped talking, so we're going to get a little bit of movement, I would guess, out of this price shortly. Yesterday, this is sort of exactly what we did. We ground up, ground up, ground up. JPOW stopped talking. Markets tried to make some more movement to the high side, and then we pretty much sold off really pretty hard. You can see it over here. This is the setup that I was looking for today. It didn't really quite play out, but that's it right there. He stopped talking around 1, and right before he started selling, boom. So we're gonna watch that. I drew these lines because there's interest at these levels. There's a pop. Delta's now attempting to make new highs. There's a push above Delta. New highs in Delta. New buyers are stepping in here now. Above 300. See if the continuation comes in or if you get a dump off really hard. That's going to be the question. You have to see what happens to price as that happens. But that seems to be a little confluence there. I said up to 313. We're right there right now, 320. Another swing high, 346. This market has nothing but upside to go, it seems. So I think our thought process on the sell isn't quite there yet. Let's see if there's another level above that may get us involved. I think any sort of flush down below where we were thinking, right? Like I said, 370, that area down here, a flush down here, kind of probably gets you sellers just piling in. Do I want to be involved up at these levels? Not really. I mean, I would love to get short from the very tippy top, but I don't think that that's a smart idea, trying to just pick a top. That's just gotten me in trouble in the past, and I don't want to be involved in it. S&P's is trying its best right now with that 157.75 level. I'm going to put it on a 5 minute to see if there's any sort of, there is a little bit of a double top being formed there at 75, but if it breaks and holds, this is probably on to the races. I think NQ probably does get to the highs, and I just don't have conviction on breakout trades to be entering in. I think up to 47 may be this run now. You can see Delta just going. All right, my short idea totally invalidated itself once this wick happened, right? I know there's no reason to go chasing it. Once this broke down, that's it. It's done. Get it out of your head and look for a new setup. So once you start looking for that new setup, either for the short or for the long, the invalidation of my shorts today have led to really good longs, right? I'm going to flatten this. I don't want them to be involved. I'm just going to check my orders, make sure there's no orders out there. Nope. So there's no orders. I'm good. I'm flat. Down here, I said I don't believe that this short is convincing. I think anything that breaks above 45 gets the buyers involved because of the way that NVIDIA is acting. NVIDIA is making wick down 900. I said it recovers 900. Watch out. It recovered 900. This V bottomed, and we haven't looked back since. So that invalidation there led to a long, and clearly it's working here as well. The invalidation of my short right here, this invalidated short, wicked down through, got zero follow through, immediately pulled back. We went to break even, no harm, no foul on that, which is good. However, once you see that wick fail, break back in and accept above here, the long's been in since then as well. So that's where I want to be wrong, right? I would like to be wrong like that, and where it's a really smart point. Either way, it is a decision point. I want to make sure that something is going to happen here. If I'm going to be wrong and stopped out, it's going to go up and be a long, right? The only way my short should be invalidated realistically is if a long is going to come into play. So I'm saying, okay, I don't really like this. I don't like this. I'm going to get out now because I think a long's coming in, and boom, that's where the long comes in. So if you like my exits for long entries, or like some of my entries for long entries, right? If you just want to fade it, that's a smart way to go. But I could have basically hit reverse on that move and been very happy. If I would have said, oh, no, screw that, reverse, you're up pretty good on it. But that's not the game I'm playing. I'm not out here saying that that's going to happen every day. 0 trades through the stream. I mean, 1 trade on the stream, 1 break even, and it hit every box. It hit all 5 ticks on the checklist. But the only thing that just didn't play out was the follow through. And then really thinking about it, if you wanted to try and get it short below that volume node at 85, you could have been in the money on it, waiting for a breakout. I probably would have tried to add, and that would have probably got me into break even and out. So, you don't get that full follow through. You can't really anticipate this failure happening right up here. But, overall, I think we made really good choices. We had a good conversation today. I hope to see everybody again tomorrow morning, 8:30. Hopefully we get it set up early. We can get a couple really good trades in there and then make some good money and go into the weekend positive, happy about it. Just good with our execution. I'm great with today. I mean, up $15 might not seem like good to you, but if you can limit your days where you don't get good trades or don't get follow through to a small win, basically break even, then that's a great day. Because then the days that you make your money, like yesterday we made 1,100 or whatever, that makes up for some of these smaller losing days, smaller winning days, right? So you're not going to make big money trades every single day. Some people do, good for them. It's not really the norm, so just be mindful of that happening to you. Just going to be on here for 1 more minute, and then I'm going to shut that down. So if you do see the short come in, or if you have any ideas coming over, you can always type them into the chat. I will check the chat at some point, later on today at work. but like I said, I do have to work today. It is Thursday. My normal days off are Tuesday, Wednesday, so the stream will always go till 11 unless I'm in on something early, going in on overtime, or if I have other things going on. Next week, we will definitely be streaming on Monday. I have to pick my parents up at the airport on Tuesday, and then the rest of the week they stay in the office. If I do stream, it might be a little more crude off the laptop or something, and then just using a single screen, and I might not be as interactive, but I still want to do maybe at least an hour or so, and I'll kind of mention it throughout the day. If I'm going to pop in, I'll post it on Instagram. Go over to Instagram. You can follow my accounts, Policing Pips, Day Trading Coffee Co. If you want some coffee, go over to daytradingcoffeeco.com and use code Policing Pips. You get 15% off. It'll fuel your trading adventures, and I'm sure you'll be very satisfied. We love our coffee. I drink it nonstop. Policing Pips gives you 15% off. Policing Pips, 15% off. Let me make sure that code is still active, but it should be. Nvidia still breaking up highs, price still breaking highs. Just watch it and keep a close eye. I do some of these things with arrows. I'll make notes. I'll type in stuff here and there. I think that's really useful for people. If that's not something that you normally do, just maybe get into the habit of that, of just kind of notating things on your chart, understanding, pricing things in, what happened here, what happened there. When I have my indexes for when I was trading Forex, each index for every currency pair was notated based on economic data, macroeconomic events and stuff like that, and it really helped me make good decisions based on certain decisions later on in the economic cycles. But S&P is making new highs, looking to creep through that all-time high again at 160 and a quarter, so, or 158 and a quarter. No, that's not right. The high is 160 and a quarter. If it continues to make new highs, anticipate the NASDAQ also creeping into that 378 and a quarter. Like I said, everybody, I'm really appreciative of you all being here. I'll be here again 8:30 Central Time tomorrow morning. Hopefully we can find a good execution point for an entry and make some money. If I do end up taking a trade later on today before I get to work, I'm going to take a little while, maybe reconvene at the charts in a little bit. If I see something happening with NVIDIA or something, I'll alert it in the chat. A Lambo just drove by, giving me some inspiration. Otherwise, like I said, I appreciate you guys. Let's get this stream up to 50. When we do get it up to 50, as soon as we do, I'm going to give away some swag on that day, and then once we get up to 100, I'll do a big giveaway. So we already gave away Trade Master free month on Tuesday. Let's keep the numbers growing and the interactions going. And like I said, people like Spy Proby and all the other people who come in and chat and communicate and interact on a daily basis, and those people who bring other people in, I'll be doing giveaways for you guys as well as a loyalty bonus type deal. So stick around. Maybe we'll do one of those a month or something like that as well. So as we grow, like I said, we'll do raffles, we'll do giveaways. We're here to build a community, teach you how to trade properly, teach you how to trade with a family, with a job, with a business, and having multifaceted dynamic lives, and trying to interact with how we can do it on a day-to-day basis. All right, so until tomorrow 8:30, I'll talk to you all later. Peace out.